Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, beautiful people.
Hey.
Hello, beautiful viewers and listeners. We are live at the UFC. Well, Jose Youngs is live in Las Vegas at the UFC 258 official morning weigh-ins for the Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns welterweight title fight. This is Alexander K. Lee. This is the beautiful voice of Alexander K. Lee here, joined by also Michael Heck and EKC, Casey Leiden in the truck as always. And again, Jose on site, bringing you this beautiful feed here. Thank you everyone for joining us. We will be beginning with the weigh-ins shortly. We're gonna have people stepping up soon, so we'll stop yapping and let them take it away. I believe John Anik is there to give us the proper pronunciation of all these names,
Gilbert
including
Burns,
Gilbert
Burns,
Gabe Green, Maki Pitolo. There's Jillian Robertson. So she's ready to rock.
All right, thank you all for being here. The official weigh in UFC 258, first fighter to the scale in the UFC women's flyweight division, Jillian Robertson.
Miss Robertson,
Canada's own.
Yeah, she's coming off a loss, right?
Yes, to Tyler Santos.
$125.5, the official weight for Jillian Robertson.
125.5. We are off to a successful start. There's our lovely graphic on screen, guys. As you can see, we have Jillian Robertson just weighed in. She'll be fighting Miranda Maverick in the early prelim opener.
Looks like Andre Ewell.
Andre Ewell getting his chance to fight after some difficulties, having some fights canceled, some fights pushed back. He steps back into the cage this year.
The official weight 138.5 pounds for Andre Ewell.
That is a 138.5 for a catchweight bout. This is a catchweight bout. Andre Ewell has not missed weight. That's a catchweight. So no panic, people. I'm sure there's some people wondering what just happened there. This is a 140-pound catchweight bout.
All right, moving on now to the UFC women's strawweight division as we welcome Mallory.
Is that a catchweight because is he the late notice? Correct.
He was supposed to fight
last week.
Yeah, and then so they kind of just very thrown together.
Well, if you want to know the whole story, we just released an interview with Andre Ewell, and he tells everything that happened. So, interesting story.
115.5, the official weight for Mallory Martin.
Mallory Martin, 115.5. Yes, make sure to check out that Andre Ewell info, as we have the story for you. 3 up, 3 successful weigh-ins so far. Again, Belal Muhammad.
What was his name again?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I always seem to slip my mind.
$169.5, the official weight for Belal Muhammad.
Wow, 169.5 for Belal Muhammad, half a under. Well done, sir. That's the flow going. Miranda Maverick, one of the normally the youngest fighter in any card she's on. Not the case here with Maycee Barber on the card, but just 23 years old and coming off a very successful UFC debut.
$125.5 official weight for Miranda Maverick.
125.5 for Miranda Maverick.
All right, next fighter to the scale is the man around whom this fight card was built. The reigning defending undisputed UFC welterweight champion, the Nigerian nightmare, Kamaru Usman.
Here comes the champ, Kamaru Usman, looking to make championship weight.
His last fight was July 11th. So
On Fight Island.
that's 6 months in between fights.
Has his mask ready.
Kinda. Weighing in with the branded mask.
Fairly certain it's a sponsor.
Yeah, his sponsored mask. Must be comfortable with his weight if he knows that's gonna make weight with that thing on. Oh, frozen. Oh, drama.
Take the mask off.
Oh,
yeah.
He's gonna have to take the mask off. Yeah, 170.5. I think it is just we're talking ounces here. So
yeah,
there you go. You know what? His sponsor should be. He put it on for the sponsor. Put it on for the sponsor. Yeah, let's. Okay.
Let the man get paid. Let the man get paid.
Here. Let the man get paid. He can put it back on for the pictures.
Mask off, socks off.
Smile on his face.
He tried.
Yeah.
There
you go.
170 pounds. The official weight for the champion,
on the dot.
Kamaru Usman.
Just had to take a little, some of the equipment off, some of the sponsored equipment off, take the socks off. No issue there. Not surprising at all. Kamaru Usman has never had trouble making weight, as far as we know, and he's ready for his next title defense. Phil Rowe up next. Here we go. Do you got a Phil Rowe story, Mike?
This guy is just such a character. I'm very excited to see him finally make his debut. He had a great performance on the Contender Series. He's just such a character. Tons of personality. This guy, if he can run off some wins, he could be a big star at 170 pounds, in my opinion.
Just his personality alone, you think? Just that they could just really carry him far in the sport?
And he's a talented guy.
Okay, we got it again. We got
a lot of heavy socks.
Guys,
a lot of heavy socks.
Guys, and those glasses. Those glasses. I mean, it's a cool look. It's a cool look. But
hey, Phil,
and take off that half an ounce of mask just in case. That quarter of an ounce mask.
I just sang your praises, young man.
$171, the official weight for Phil Rowe.
171 for Phil Rowe. He is official now. I'll tell you, hey, this scale is doing his job. All right, he's doing his job. He is not letting these guys skirt by. You know, he's not just slinging that thing up there and taking a look at it. No. No, you better be on.
This is this is not UFC 254 in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Guy
We're
just
just
slamming that thing.
Division as we welcome Polyana Vieira.
Polyana Vieira coming up now. Got a good flow of weigh-ins, guys. We will have the graphic up on the screen. Oh, sorry, the graphic is up on the screen now. You can see who's already weighed in. I want to Ryan Peel, Andre Ewell. That was a catch weight bout. I'm sure I have to mention it 20 times during this broadcast, but Polyana Vieira.
£116. 116 pounds, the official weight for Polyana Vieira.
116 for Polyana. Yeah, no issues so far, guys.
So she makes weight, and
She has
Mallory
made-
Martin made weight. So
Well, actually, Casey, now that you mentioned, we have 2 fights that are official. We
Yeah.
have. Do we want to wait? Do we want to wait till after?
no.
Okay. Well, you're right. Mallory Martin made weight earlier, so that means Polyana Vieira and Mallory Martin.
This man charged with kicking out the pay-per-view main card at UFC 258.
We're gonna have to wait, Alex. We're gonna have
Let's
to
wait.
wait.
Let's wait for this.
Julian Marquez.
All right. Let's wait a minute. Let's wait a minute.
This man is one of the best interviews in the sport. I will say that.
Tremendous.
It's Julian Marquez, yes, an incredibly thoughtful guy, big Miley Cyrus fan. I think he's
Name
dealt well
someone
to-
who isn't. First off,
I mean, you're right. It's
Yeah.
redundant to even say it. But.
oh, dude, when KO Barber. Oh.
185 on the nose, the official weight for Julian Marquez.
185 for Julian Marquez. He is ready.
Giving out 2 free UFC 4 games. Just like the winner, pick the winner tomorrow night.
Way to
He's
use your
giving away-
platform.
Yes, he's giving me a PS4 copy, and it looks like an Xbox Series 1, Series whatever. What's the new Xbox called? The new Xbox copy of the UFC 4 video game. So there you go. But yes, Julian Marquez, very thoughtful guy. Hopefully,
One half of the co-main event live on pay-per-view in the UFC flyweight division. Maycee the future Barber.
Maycee Barber. Hopefully, Marquez will get a fight. It's been over 950 days since his last UFC fight. He's had some really bad luck.
A lot of lady flyweight prospects on this card. I'm looking.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, indeed.
The official weight 126 pounds for Maycee Barber.
$126 for Maycee Barber, one half of the Saturday flyweight co-main event. And here's the other half.
Team
Alexa
Lobo.
Grasso coming up now. Team Lobo. She-Wolf, you might say. No?
No,
This is a really interesting fight.
It's a good co-main. It's obviously maybe not, what people would expect to see on a pay-per-view, but it was kind of bumped up after some other changes.
125 and a half, the official weight for Alexa Grasso.
125 and a half for Grasso. She had some issues in the past making the straw limit. She moved up. So far, so good at 125. That's always good to see.
It's her second.
Casey.
Her second fight back, right? Her second fight at flyweight. Correct?
This is her second fight at 125. Correct. She had a successful debut. One flyweight debut.
For our next athlete in the UFC's
Oh.
flyweight division, 15th ranked in the Hurricane Heinisch.
Ian Heinisch coming up now. We are cruising. This man getting ready for the biggest fight of his career as he looks to knock off Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum, yes, in a bit of a slump, but a very big name, and certainly someone that if Heinisch beats him, he's gonna. I don't know if he earns a top 10 spot because it might drop Gastelum down more than it moves Heinisch up, but he certainly leapfrogs Gastelum in the rankings and gets either in the top 10 or right at the edge of the top 10.
It's the first time Kelvin's fighting someone outside the top 10 in a while.
Has to do it. He's lost 4 straight. He's lost 4 straight.
Three straight.
185 and a half, the official weight for Ian Heinisch.
185.5 for Ian the Hurricane Heinisch, and we are just losing his way in. Casey, you have a little bit of a. You see on the time left to weigh in graphic.
Weight division, this man won half of the feature.
Yeah. Is it not correct?
Weigh in is like separated. The eye is separate.
Oh,
from
I see.
Just wanna. It's fine. You know what? Hey, people, this is live. This is a movie magic here, right? This is how the magic happens, all right? Did he say there's a break, or do you see someone's coming up?
No,
There's someone here.
Oh, here we go.
Who is this gentleman? This Chris Gutierrez?
No.
Anthony Hernandez.
Oh, there it is.
Fluffy.
Oh, it's nothing.
186, the official weight for Anthony Hernandez.
Anthony Hernandez, 186. We are all good so far. We will have a lot of Contender Series alums on this. I guess that's true of almost every UFC card these days, but it does feel like there's a lot of fighters on this particular card that earned a Contender Series contract.
Like
Including
Jeremiah.
Maki Pitolo.
Jeremiah.
Yes,
Hey.
another. I actually didn't count, but I have to look at how many of these people are either Contender Series contract winners or at least fought on the Contender Series and then later got a contract. Jeremiah, Anthony Smith went on a 3-fight skid, but still got a co-main, then upgraded to main event. Yeah, look, this is how it happens. It's just how the UFC is. You can go a long way on reputation and wanting to compete. Make yourself available.
185 on the nose, the official weight for Maki Pitolo.
185 for Maki Pitolo. Okay, so we're almost getting to that time. I think we can start doing our favorite phrase. Almost. Let's wait to see people come up. Don't want to interrupt the process here. We've got a good flow going. Maybe today is the day where we are done with the weigh-ins by 30 minutes in.
Next up, we get to an early prelim in the UFC's welterweight division as we welcome Gifted Gabe Green.
Gifted Gabe Green. I love that nickname. Gifted Gabe Green coming up. He will be competing on the early prelims on Saturday.
Triple G. That's what we like to call him. Gifted Gabe.
Again,
Triple G.
it's and yeah. I mean, when you say Triple G, I only think of Gabe Green.
Gabe Green.
Yeah, I don't
That's it.
associate that
Continue.
with any other athlete, especially in combat sports.
169 and a half, the official weight for Gabe Green.
169.5 for Gabe Green. That's right, everyone. Triple G is fighting this Saturday. Tweet it. Tell all your friends. It's Triple G fighting this Saturday. Don't provide any other context.
Riding a 3-fight winning streak, we welcome back Dhiego Lima.
Dhiego Lima, one of the happiest, most positive guys in MMA. Always has a smile on his face. Always quick with a laugh. And, he was happy to take this fight.
$171, the official weight for Dhiego Lima.
171 for Dhiego Lima. Fighting Belal Muhammad.
I spied Douglas Lima. Just covered in UFC merch.
Dougie Limes.
All right, back to pay-per-view now. That's the UFC's middleweight division. This man is the former interim middleweight title challenger, captain of the world, Kelvin Gastelum.
Here comes Kelvin Gastelum. A very important fight for him on Saturday. As we said, 4-fight losing streak, but a 4-fight thing is very good competition. So we'll see now, as Casey mentioned, someone outside the top 10 for Gastelum.
I think this is his first time finding someone outside the top 10. Jeez. Nico Musaki? I don't even know who that is. UFC
Yeah, that's a long time
Fight
ago.
Night 44.
Nico Musoki.
In 2014.
Swedish guy.
Yep, Swedish guy.
186, the official weight for Kelvin Gastelum.
186 for Kelvin Gastelum. So there we go. Trying to take a quick look here. How many we have? Quite a few names already. No, those guys have all come up. Polyana, yep, now she came up. Yep. Ewell came up.
Next fighter to the scale, competing as a featherweight here tomorrow night, Brian Boom Kelleher.
Ah, yes.
Crystal Crew.
Crystal Crew, friend of MMA fighting.
Crystal Crew.
Brian Kelleher. The Crystal Crew. Regrettably, part of the Crystal Crew. Probably the best rapper in MMA. Brian Kelleher.
Here comes the AK heel turn.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I kill with kindness.
145 and 1/2 pounds, the official weight for Brian Kelleher.
145.5 for Brian Kelleher, competing at featherweight again, as he has done many times during this pandemic. Just wisely, don't cut the extra weight if you don't have to. So he's setting himself up with these 145-pound fights. I see a comment from Mike P in our YouTube saying Triple G better than Canelo. I agree. Gifted Gabe Green is better than Canelo. That's a very strange comparison. One of them's an MMA fighter, one of them's a boxer. But I mean, if that's what you want to say, sure.
Yeah, but who can stop a takedown? Who can stop a takedown?
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking MMA, I'd pick Gabe Green all day. But I'm very random. But Triple G better than Canelo, sure. People are talking about it, I guess.
A little bit of a break, guys.
Okay. All right, Casey. All right. Jessica, the leader of the Crystal Crew, of course. LFG. Let's effing go. Boom, and there are your crystals, guys. All right, Casey. How many times do you want to do this? Are we going to do it for every time, or?
I know what you're talking about. Do your job and read the people their weights.
No. Listen, Mike. If you would like, you can give us the rundown so far, and then if you want to give Casey time for his moments, that's up to you. I'm leaving it to you guys. You guys go ahead.
All right. I think Casey and we're like Stockton and Malone here. I think we can figure this out.
Here we go. Here we go.
Main event for the welterweight title. Kamaru Usman successfully makes weight 170 pounds, still awaiting the arrival of Gilbert Burns. Maycee Barber, weighed in at 126 pounds. She takes on Alexa Grasso, weighed in at 125.5, which means the fight is official.
Oh.
In a middleweight matchup, Julian Marquez, Maki Pitolo both hit 185 on the dot, which means that fight is also official. Kelvin Gastelum, weighed in at 186 pounds, takes on Ian Heinisch, who weighed in at 185.5. And I think you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. It means that fight is also official.
How many more of these are there?
Ewell made weight 138.5 pounds for a 140-pound catchweight fight against Chris Gutierrez, still waiting on El Guapo. Polyana Vieira weighed in 116 pounds. She takes on Mallory Martin, who weighed in at 115.5. That fight is official. Yeah, no more drama. We're just going to fly right through this thing. Gabe Green, 169.5, taking on the debuting Philip Rowe, weighed in at 171. That one's official. Still awaiting the arrival of undefeated Rodolfo Vieira, takes on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, weighing 186 pounds. The opening fight of the night in the women's flyweight division, Jillian Robertson and Miranda Maverick, both weighed in at 125.5 pounds. You know what that means? It's official. Boomatine weight class, Brian Kelleher weighing in at 145.5. Still waiting on Ricky Simone. Still waiting on Bobby Green and Jim Miller. That fight's at 155 pounds. And Dhiego Lima, weighed in at 171, takes on Belal. Remember the name Muhammad. And remember, this fight is official. And that is your update. Back to you, AK.
Oh, my God. Guys, listen, we do a rundown like every half an hour, maybe. We're not doing all that again. All right? We're not doing that again.
Well, we had so much to catch up on.
You're right. All right, I'm just saying we don't need to play the flourish. Mike, Casey, guys, that was phenomenal. We do maybe skip the flourish next time. All right.
By the way, AK.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. Yes,
by the way, there are 8 former Contender Series fighters competing on this card.
8 out of 24 fighters. That's a lot.
Yes.
1 out of 3.
33%.
33%. Again, I mean that's pretty common, I guess, these days. Not super surprising, but for pay-per-view, it actually is a little surprising. Maybe for a fight night, I would be like, yeah, obviously you're loading it with contender series people, but we know this how cards are nowadays. We've seen some veterans cut, we've seen some other people let go, but part ways with the UFC for various reasons, and there's a lot of contender series talent. So good for these young men and women getting this opportunity to fight on a pay-per-view card. But yeah, it is interesting that you have so many contender series people. Jose, how's the air down there? What's the update?
It's well, if you look at Gilbert Burns' Instagram, he's alive right now and on his way to the land, so he's almost here.
Okay. So we are. There you go. Perfect. So we are waiting on the challenger Gilbert Burns, Kamaru Usman having successfully made weight. Let's see, Casey. Do we have time for questions? I don't know. I guess we could have more people coming out. We have how many names left? I see.
I'll look at the comments.
Sure. We have eight fighters left to weigh in. Like I said, including Gilbert Burns, both Jim Miller and Bobby Green taking their time. Two lightweight veterans. They've done this so many times. They're probably just in no rush. They probably have this down to a science as far as making weight and showing up for this sort of thing. So, no rush for those guys.
See that, AK? MC Mike Heck?
What? What? Al Mac? What did
Wow.
How am I a buzzkill? How am I a buzzkill?
I'm AK. Let's hold off on all the little flourishes.
Right. Listen, Casey, don't.
How about them Raptors?
Casey, don't do that, because there's a lot of people who might not be watching the show and only listening, and they're going to think that was me. So your eerily accurate impression of me, while amazing, is not welcome right now. Please, let's keep professional. Let us come on.
Duval.
Okay, you're right.
Duval.
It's like I hear an echo.
I have to send AK a Peyton Pritchard jersey after last
please
night.
Please don't. That's the only. We were just saying before the show, I don't swear often, but F Peyton Pritchard. Okay, that's all I say. That's how I live my life. All right, F Peyton Pritchard. Yeah, but is there any actual questions? Casey? Why am I a buzzkill? You're right. Al Mac, you're right. I got to bring up the energy level.
Yeah.
You're right. Oh, I keep forgetting to say Happy Chinese New Year, everyone. By the way, for any of my Chinese viewers out there,
get those red envelopes. Get those red envelopes.
I'm wearing bright red
envelopes.
I'm wearing a bright red, of course, to commemorate the occasion. The year of the ox. So shout outs to all my Chinese peoples out there, and really just everybody out there, of course. But yes, a very, very big occasion for the Chinese people. So
Dude,
happy to say it.
The worst part about Chinese New Year is when you get so old, you have to start giving out the envelopes.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not fun.
That's not fun.
It used to be free money. Now
it used to be free money. Oh, the red envelope.
What a horrible cycle. I'm not seeing any questions, Casey. I'm looking at the same chat you are. I don't see. Ray 2K, happy Chinese New Year. Yes. Justice Smith, thank you. Okay, well, I don't know if there's any questions going to come in about this guy, but Jeremiah K. Oh, you know what? Jeremiah K. Casey, do you see that comment? Can we throw that up there?
No, I don't.
It's coming. It's one of the newer ones, so I don't know. Maybe it hasn't quite popped up yet. I'm looking at the chat or eCam, but yes, there is another occasion that's today that I feel like we need to celebrate. I could really just say, there we go. Is it Mr. Heck's birthday, or am I late? You know what, Jeremiah K? Your sources are correct. It is Mike Heck's birthday. So happy birthday to Mike Heck. Thank you. That's the only song we need to play. I won't go on this big rant now, but I am working on. I am not a fan of the happy birthday song. I think it's a very unpleasant song to listen to. And Mike, what is it? If you could play a song for your birthday, what would you like to hear on your birthday? Obviously, we can't play it now for rights purposes, but we'll play it off air.
I think the Beatles version is good because it's like a minute and a half long. I think that's perfect. It's upbeat, it's fiery, it's not the same lane. Happy Birthday is just so played out now. It really is. Like, it's so awkward to hear, it's awkward to sing. There's just so
nobody
much
wants to do
wrong
it.
with it.
Nobody wants to do it. Nobody likes singing.
There is money in a recreation of the Happy Birthday song. You know, like when the holidays roll around, you hear the same Christmas songs over and over again, and movement. Like you just wait for that one to come over. Oh, we got movement. Maybe it's
movement.
Yeah.
The challenger, perhaps.
It's literally sprinted to his thing.
Annex got speed.
Okay.
He ready.
Sorry, Jose, it's a little hard to hear you. Chris Gutierrez coming up. This is the other half of the 140 pound catchweight bout. So, guys, if you hear a funny number here, this is a catchweight. Andre Ewell successfully made weight earlier, 138.5. So, guys, while we're waiting, shout out in the comments what you would want your birthday song. It can be any song. If you could have any song played on your birthday besides the happy birthday song, please shout out in the comments. Your favorite Limp Bizkit song, obviously, is perfectly acceptable. You can throw that in there.
140 pounds, the official weight for El Guapo, Chris Gutierrez.
140 for Chris Gutierrez. Again, a 140 pound catchweight bout. So, I'll do one. So, with Chris Gutierrez making 140 for this catchweight bout, and Andre Ewell also making the limit at 138.5 earlier, Chris Gutierrez versus Andre Ewell is now official. Amazing.
Does that make you feel alive? Don't you feel alive?
It does. Well, not a lot makes you feel alive these days. Besides, weigh-ins in general, hanging out with you guys, of course. But other than that, I don't know. I see a lot of people saying "In the Club" as a good, that's a great birthday song.
That's a good
Obviously, one. I think that's a pretty. If that replaced "Happy Birthday," that I would not have a problem with that. Jeremiah K says, "Oh, Daddy Yankee, Gasolina. Oh yeah. Oh, put that on. Now you're having a good birthday. You can't have a good birth. You can't have a bad birthday if that song comes on. Yeah, man, for sure.
You guys
JC Ben malnourished gang. Stan Bush, fight to survive. Oh, this guy wants to get. This guy, wow. He likes to get pumped for his. He wants to get pumped for his birthday. He's ready to fight. Yes. Ray 2K. Right. Wouldn't you rather hear any of these songs than Happy Birthday? Right. I would love it. I'm not saying people have to sing it. It's just like, okay, it's time for the birthday. You're blowing out the candles. Play Shakira, Hips Don't Lie. Mm-hmm. Play the first verse, first chorus, and then I'll blow out the candles. Perfect, guys. Excellent.
Right?
What?
You guys were all born before 1990, right?
Slightly.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I could tell.
What would be your song, Jose? What would be your song?
Don't worry about it.
Are you a Shakira hater? What's going on here?
Of course. Yabuki MMA, thank you.
Oscar Willis is stopping by. Apparently, these three don't like the Happy Birthday song, and they're all trying to pick songs that would replace them.
Yeah, it's wild.
And they're all picking very basic white people songs.
Shakira? Shakira is white people songs?
Sure.
Shakira?
These are all dances you would see at a middle school from like.
I love it. I'm not saying birthdays have to be cool. Look, birthdays are not cool.
Hold on, we got to finish the story. Hold on.
All right, go.
So, hold on. So what my school used to do, these school discos, and you had to dress up really smart for them. So I wore fluffy zebra pants and a bow tie that span around, and they wouldn't let me in. And I had to sneak in through a back window, got annihilated on vodka at the age of 13, threw up everywhere in the urinal. And then they were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I need to get in there. Charlotte's in there, and I want to sleep with her." And they were like, "Right, you got to go." And they had to call an ambulance for me. Anyway, enjoy the weigh-ins.
Hold on. Can you say urinal again?
Yeah.
He's gone. Oscar just walked in, dropped a lasagna of a story, and then walked out.
Yes. He said urinal. That's amazing.
Yeah,
he also said dress. He also said dress smart for anyone who that means dress like just nicely for people who may not speak British or whatever Oscar is. Was the guy Welsh or something? I don't know. There's so many good comments. I think these are all good answers. Don't let Jose bring you down. I'm sure Jose has some super cool answer that he would have, but there's nothing wrong with Gangnam Style. I'm seeing in there. What else we got here? Someone said Face the Pain, obviously. I mean, that goes Kanye West Celebration. Again, I'm not asking you for cool choices.
I'm not asking you guys when Gilbert Burns shows up now.
You don't have to. I'm not.
Mike
happy birthday, Mike Hack.
Hack. You snuck that one in.
Championship opportunity here tonight. Number 1 ranked UFC welterweight contender Gilbert.
Here we go.
Oops. Wrong one. That's me.
Gilbert Burns. Oh, I'm definitely going to misspell that by accident now.
170 pounds, the official weight for Gilbert Dhiego Burns.
Gilbert Burns on point, and we have an official welterweight championship main event on Saturday. Wonderful. All right.
Wait,
So again,
Get
with
that money,
wait,
son.
hold on, wait. Gilbert's really lost a lot of momentum here, going right up. Okay, give it up, man. Come on, Gilbert. Oh boy, we're gonna do. I need a BJJ Scouts breakdown of him putting on his sponsored mask.
well,
Oh, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
let's-
All right.
oh my goodness. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
He gave up.
There you go.
No.
Necklace it up.
Oh.
Championship main event is now official.
All right.
How could he not like that guy?
Yeah. You have to. Great, excellent work by Usman and Burns. So there you go. They will be so far without a hitch. We will see
I definitely saw a hitch right there. That was a hitch.
There was plenty of hitches in the post weigh-in apparel gathering of Gilbert Burns. But look, he's here to fight. We know he can do that very well. So it's funny though you mentioned he kind of lost a little bit of steam after that weigh-in because we were just talking about before the show, or maybe early in the show, Mike. You were saying, or one of us was saying, isn't it kind of funny that this had so much heat when they were supposed to fight on Fight Island last summer, and now it's almost like we have everyone talking about how this pay-per-view has like no buzz around it. So I don't know, Mike. Do you think that that's a fair thing to say?
I mean, we talked about this obviously yesterday on Between the Links, and Josh Gurst made a good point. I mean, it's just the timing of the card. Like, if you did this card like in April, I don't think like we'd have this problem. But the fact of the matter is, we just had Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, and everyone wanted to spend the $70 on that card, and then they're coming back 3 weeks later with another pay-per-view card. I mean, it's just a tough ask for fans.
This is UFC 201.
I was going to say the same thing. Yep, 201.
Yeah. It's just a tough ask, It's a tough ask, and I get it. I love the matchup. I don't think anyone's like down on the fight itself. I just think, the overall level of the card, especially losing Chris Weidman and Uriah Hall, which was an interesting fight at 185. That was the co-main event. Still not the best co-main event. It's not Michael Chandler versus Dan Hooker. But, I mean, if you really look at the matchup, it's a good card.
Is it a $70 card? That's the problem.
Miller.
Jim Miller's there.
Yeah. If you got the money, yeah, it's I think
I'll tell you what. I'm happy to spend $70 with a card that features this fight on it. Jim Miller versus Bobby Green. Good God Almighty. I love this fight.
155 and 1/2 pounds, the official weight for the veteran Jim Miller.
What?
Okay. The invisible weigh-in.
What was? Wait, what happened?
The invisible weigh-in.
Wait,
I think we have
What happened?
perhaps a frozen screen.
I think it's
Did
just.
it freeze?
I think so. Who weighed in? Sorry, who weighed in?
Jim Miller just weighed in.
At what weight?
155.5.
Okay, thank you.
Did it freeze?
Can you move? Can
The
you move your
invisible
camera?
Jim Miller.
Oh, zoom out on your. Oh, you lost it. Oh,
I think we'll see what happens. That's Jim Miller right there,
Yeah.
weighing in. And AK's muted, just yapping away. We can't hear anything he's saying.
Oh no! Oh, that explains why you. Oh, I was making the most amazing point about really everything, really life. And now I can't remember it. I was like, I gotta actually kind of stop talking about weigh-ins, and I was just making this point about how the best way to live your life and how to solve all of our problems. Now I can't remember it, so I'm not going to repeat it. But people whatever do.
Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns just screwed everything up. We had invisible Jim Miller hitting the scale.
It's been a real blooper reel since Gilbert. Well, guys, we'll have that back for you soon. But yes, Jim Miller successfully weighing in his 37th UFC appearance. 37. Woo. He's making them. He will be the first to make it to 40, barring anything crazy happening. He is making that. There we go. We are back. Jose, we see you.
There's movement.
What's up?
so can you
Yep,
confirm?
we are back.
Is Jim Miller actually visible, or is he now just in a cloak right now? Some sort of
No,
Harry
he's
Potter
invisible,
thing?
Casey. That's the lot. No, he's invisible. That's the logical answer.
That is wild. This is gonna be this changes everything. Bobby Green's really gonna change his strategy if he literally cannot see his opponent. I don't know.
It seems unfair to me, if I'm being like, I I'm not I don't mind some.
Is it in the rules?
bending of the rules,
Is it
but
against USADA to be invisible? No.
I have never seen anything addressing invisible fighters, if I'm being honest with you.
Interesting.
I don't know if they ever thought it would come up. But here we are.
That's the evolution of the sport, man. It's the evolution of the sport. You know? First it was like jiu-jitsu, then it was Anderson's front kick, and pretty soon you're going to be riding when Jim Miller came out invisible and took the lightweight.
Even in Fight 37, even in Fight 37, he's still showing us new tricks, eh? Just when we thought we'd seen everything from Jim Miller, boy. You know who's not going to like this? Bobby Green. This guy, he was talking on Media Day. He's had some, kind of been jerked around a little bit in his career. I don't know how he's going to react to the UFC booking him against an invisible fighter. He's not going to.
Are you guys still on this? Are you guys still on this bit? My God.
Bit. I don't know what you saw, but we didn't see anything.
John Cena Miller successfully weighed in 155.5 for his fight. Let's talk about Bobby Green's scrum. I did not watch the whole thing. I certainly saw some of the clips we put up. I saw some of it I had muted, but I still had the video in like a corner somewhere. Very animated, Bobby Green. Is that fair to say, guys?
Yeah,
For sure. He's a different guy than he was, 5-6 years ago, where, he was kind of standoffish with the media. And I get it. I think fighters in a lot of ways go through that from time to time, but Bobby Green just said, F it. I'm just going to go out there and have fun and enjoy life and get paid. He said he made like $500,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood last year. So he's loving life right now. He's drying his tears with hundos, $100 bills. So he's feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, and always like a fun guy to watch inside the octagon. Sometimes maybe frustrating for some of his fans. Maybe there's some fights that kind of got away from him. But he's our classic case of on the right day, you could put Bobby Green in there with anyone in the top 10, and you feel like he could be competitive, right? Casey, we'll talk TBC. Rodolfo Vieira, one of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in all of MMA today. Absolutely deadly on the ground.
This guy works out.
He's in ridiculous shape. Oh my goodness.
Dana White thinks he's the best ground specialist in the UFC, not just at 85, but in the UFC.
Over Gilbert Burns, over Damian Maia, wow, better than the other guys on this card.
186, the official weight for Rodolfo Vieira.
186 for Rodolfo Vieira. Yes, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he is the best. Oops, did I spell that wrong? If he is the best grappler, it's a small sample size from what we see in the UFC. But I really watch any of the guys' clips, watch any of his other fights outside the UFC. I'm on watching obviously his BJJ competitions. The guy is really on another level for most people when we talk about being good. When we talk about being a black belt, this guy another level from other black belts.
Yeah, but he made weight, AK.
Yes. Most important. Yes, that's right. Rodolfo has successfully made weight for his fight with Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, both weighing in at 186, which means, yes, this fight is official. All right. I got to be quick on those cues next time. So there we go. There's a lot of good news. Everyone's made weight so far. We only have 3 fighters left: Bobby Green, Ricky Simone, and Jillian Robertson.
Jillian Robertson made weight. She was the first one up.
Oh, Jillian Robertson made weight. That's right. I'm like a Canada's own. I literally said Canada's own. So we only have 2 left: Bobby Green and Ricky Simone. All right. Let me. Jose, did you want to share yet what your birthday song would be? Your super cool guy birthday song would be?
Hold on a second. Doing my job.
All right. Casey, we were talking about, what were we saying about Bobby Green? I feel like we had a Bobby Green thought. Oh yes, I want to ask you if you thought, it's fair to say, he's a bit mercurial when it comes to his performances.
he is one of the most frustrating. If you're a fan of Bobby Green, I'm sure he's like one of the most frustrating guys. You just see this potential, but sometimes I think he says it too. Like I actually the thing he said I thought was really interesting during his interview was talking about how during some of his fights he feels out of his body and he just feels like he's watching himself and just like mad at like why aren't you moving, Bobby, and things like that. And I think maybe that's what we feel too sometimes when we're watching, is we see how much potential he has, especially his movement and his striking, but sometimes he just doesn't seem to just be active enough. And I'm a big fan of Bobby Green. I feel like every couple years I'm like, oh, this Bobby Green, this is gonna be the title run Bobby Green, and then something just happens, and then he just kind of, it's not like he gets just like washed in a fight or anything. He just loses. But yeah, it's but you know, you're always gonna get fun times with Bobby Green. I think that
fun times. Like, yeah,
it's the only person that's really just straight up dominated him from end to end. Was that when Dustin Poirier fought him? I remember
just knocked him out.
Yeah,
early, I think. I don't even know if that was.
I remember it was pretty. That was a pretty one-sided. It was just like
sure. Otherwise, he's gone the distance in his last.
He got cooked up by Edson.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he has had issues when he hits those kind of
Bobby Green was doing like his thing where he was like, he got hit and he's like, what was that even? And then Edson Barbosa like head kicked him and dropped him.
Did Edson?
Do we want it? No, it went to decision, but I think like as Jose said, it's pretty one-sided.
But that's what I mean. Like, that's how good Bobby Green is. Like he'll take these just like beatings, but yet after the fight, he's all like, "Come on, let's go, let's fight some more." Like he's never like, I never feel like you just see him like just like, "Oh, you got me. All right, you're better." You know.
He was asked about what was it that prompted his.
That, he was out for 2 years after that fight.
Yeah.
Injuries. I remember he had a lot. Yeah, I mean, he's had a lot of injury issues.
What was it at the media day that prompted him to do that animated response? They were asking him how his career or how he felt his UFC career had gone or something, and I can't describe what he did. His reaction. Casey, you know what I'm talking about, right?
When he sat in the chair, or
no, and then he got up next to the chair.
Oh,
and started
he started
doing something.
Yeah, that was that was interesting.
It was Again, you can find the all the media day interviews on our channel. Check our Twitter. There's all the best clips from there. From again, Bobby Green's animated answer to how he views his UFC career so far, and Julian Marquez's love of Miley Cyrus. So a lot of great stuff up there ahead of Saturday's show. Mike, what other kind of under the radar storylines do you feel like we have heading into the pay-per-view?
Under the radar, I mean, the whole card's probably under the radar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be Julian Marquez. Julian Marquez is definitely an under the radar story, just because he's been out for so long, and it seems like anything bad that could happen has happened to him. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. And then I think right now Kelvin Gastelum is a huge story that probably isn't getting enough love. Like you said, four losses in a row. He's fighting a very hungry guy in Ian Heinisch, who, you know, is coming off a big knockout win. He kind of had a weird 2020 himself, where he's supposed to fight Brendan Allen a couple of different times. Even the Mearshart fight, like he was out of the fight. They brought in Anthony Ivy to replace him after a false positive COVID, comes back in, finishes Mearshart, and they're supposed to fight Brendan Allen twice. Second time, weighs in successfully. They face off, and the fight's off the day before, and he had to watch Sean Strickland get a bonus, knocking out Brendan Allen 2 weeks later. So after all of that, he's back, gets a bigger opportunity. So I of all these fights, it's probably the most interesting, considering what's without a title on line. There's probably more at stake in that fight than any other fight on the card.
Yeah, I can see that. See that.
So you say Kelvin four fight. You know, he's only on a 3-fight win streak. I think you said 4-fight losing streak. It's only a 3.
Oh, 4. Okay, 3? This would be 4. My apologies.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
but it's okay. I'll tell you. Okay, Jack Hermanson got him with that heel hook, and but when I rewatched that just, to me, that really looked like Kelvin just. And this, I mean, that's the sport, but he was just being lazy. He just got really way too relaxed, and he's that early in the fight. Your legs are dry, and that was just a giant mistake by Kelvin Gastelum at a time he really couldn't afford making a mistake like that. But you even look at the Adesanya fight. That fight was still up for grabs in the 5th round.
Amazing fight.
Amazing fight. Fight of the year. And then the Darren Till fight. Yeah, he lost a split decision. But let's be honest, that was kind of a nothing burger of a fight by either man. It was like,
it was close.
You know, I mean, that fight? Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that fight sucked, it was boring or whatever. But entertainment-wise, there was high expectations that it didn't come close to fulfilling. I'm not sure why. So this fight means so much
sure
for Kelvin.
Didn't he test pretty positive again for weed during that fight? But it was like the elevation was pretty high, so it was like pretty close to the fight when he smoked it or whatever. I don't know if he smoked it or not. But I heard something about that. With the
no, you're talking about the Darren. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, there was some. Yeah, there was some. Oh, it was reduced. He got a reduced suspension for marijuana. Apparently. Yeah, you are correct, sir.
So he just fights.
Yeah, that was a weird one for him. Plus the scale.
Yeah.
The what? Oh, he came in over for that one. What?
No,
remember
was on his corner.
Yeah.
His elbow was on Rafael Cordero. He was like when he needed
his shoulder.
So like
Yeah.
The commission just let that one slide again.
Sneaky. So sneaky. But yeah, no, it is. You know what? It's funny. It's good that you actually kind of laid that out, Casey, because you're right. Not all losing streaks are created equal. Not all win streaks are created equal. There's always context to these things, right? And you're right. So on paper, we keep saying 3-fight losing streak. And when you look at the names and circumstances, you're like, okay, he is not, that does not kind of dictate the kind of how good Kelvin Gastelum still is and how close he still is to kind of righting the ship. He's really only one or two big wins. If he finishes Ian Heinisch in the first round, it really would go a long way towards sort of erasing the lackluster results he's had recently. But so very, very good point there. Mike, I do want to talk about Marquez a little more. So he's been off, like I said, almost 1,000 days. I believe it'll be 953 days come Saturday, July 6, 2018. A lot of that time lost, Mike, it was a shoulder injury, right? There's a shoulder injury.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things going on with that guy.
What else?
Yeah. Even I mean, even when he was trying to get back, he couldn't get back in there. I mean, even in 2020, you're supposed to fight Saperbeg Safarov in November, and then weight cut issues for his opponent knocked him out of the fight. Like it just seemed like no matter what he tried to do, I mean, injuries aside, it's like he would recover from one injury, then he'd get another one, same thing, and so forth and so on. And then he finally gets that opportunity to get back into the cage. And the day before, there's a weight cutting issue, and the fight gets called again. So, when they said Maki Pitolo was the opponent, I'm like, all right, this is what you need to do, because Pitolo is going to show up. Like he's going to get there, he's going to make weight, and he's going to get in that cage and fight. And I'm not like blaming Saffron. I mean, we're in the middle of a freaking pandemic, so I get it. Like things happen, but with Pitolo, win or lose, the guy's showing up and the guy's going to scrap. So I think this is a good matchup for him to come back to after almost 1,000 days out. Just a crazy story.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like it's so much stuff out of his control. The Safarov thing was just heartbreaking. I remember when I was like, I can't believe Julian Marquez isn't fighting again. Like this, it's just not fair. It's completely out of his control. But he came off of. I remember coming out of the Contender Series, he had that huge head kick knockout of Phil Haas, now also in the UFC. Beats Darren Stewart in his debut. That's a solid win. And then loses to Alessio Deshirko, which we know is not a bad loss at all. And then has this long layoff, unfortunately. But he really was, I think, someone coming off the Contender Series that the UFC, I think, saw as someone that could, can be a name at 185 pounds. Again, well-spoken guy, intelligent guy, exciting fighter. So it was a shame to lose, for him to lose that career momentum.
Oh, I forgot that he was the guy that knocked out Phil Haas on. That was a brutal knockout. Yeah, he got Phil tired, and Phil Haas, once he got tired, his hands dropped, and like I remember he broke off from a clinch, I think, off the cage, and head kick. Beautiful technique.
Is that season one? Oh no, 2017. Is that season one? That's not season one. Is it a Contender Series?
It was one of the early seasons.
It definitely was one of the early seasons. I can't remember.
It was back when just winning a fight didn't get you a contract. It was like you had to impress Dana White.
I think Maycee Barber was season 1. I believe.
I think you're right.
I should really look these things up instead of just randomly guessing. But yeah, I believe Maycee Barber is one of the Contender Series originals. If we want to make that a thing.
Jamie Colleen she beat. I remember that.
Mike, you said eight people, right? Can you run down? We said Maycee Barber. Who else? Heinisch.
Okay, so Maycee Barber, Marquez, Pitolo, Ian Heinisch, Mallory Martin, Phil Rowe, Anthony Hernandez, Ricky Simone.
Yes.
And that's 8.
Gosh, Ricky Simone had to go through. I forgot Ricky Simone went through Contender Series.
Yeah, he won a decision.
Wow.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing because a lot of these fighters, like Maycee, I get why they go to Contender Series because then it gives the UFC footage and they can show it in promo packages and stuff. But like people like Barber, she did plenty outside of organization, and like
she also she missed away.
I think she was like 3-0 or 4-0.
Like even like Mallory Martin was doing great in Invicta.
Yeah, Martin was kind of a surprising one to not get a contract because she was. She had a dominant win. I mean, it wasn't a finish. It wasn't like a, kind of what you're looking for a Contender Series win. But like her going into that fight, like you just expected, like if she wins, she's getting a contract based on what she did outside of the octagon. So, it's just interesting how these contracts are doled up because look at Kevin Holland. I mean. The reason Kevin Holland didn't get a contract is just hilarious, especially when you see what he's done now. Like it's just wild.
I will have issues forever.
Go ahead, Casey.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna have issues till the day I die on Dana White's reasoning for not getting Holland in the UFC originally because he talked. Like
that was rough, and he brought that up recently too. Didn't he bring that up recently after one of Holland's wins, saying like, "Oh, this kid's finally getting it together." I remember I didn't like him at first. He talked too much, and I'm like, "Yikes! What? This is big yikes, big yikes."
Just wild, man. And that's like speaking of Kevin Holland. That's why, like, I understand what you guys are saying about Gastelum, that like not all losing streaks are created equally and stuff like that. And I totally understand that. And the reason why I think this fight is so important is not just because of the losing streak. It's because of this division now. Like this division is so interesting. You're seeing guys like Holland. You're seeing guys like Marvin Vettori make this giant leap at 185. If Kelvin Gastelum loses this fight, he falls so far behind, like just so far behind. Like you can't take a step back right now because of what's going on at 85. Plus you got Adesanya jumping up to fight for the 205-pound title. You can't take a step back. I mean, there's some divisions where you can. This one you can't.
I mean, we're talking about hypotheticals, but like if Kelvin gets dominated by Heinisch and loses bad, I wonder if maybe Kelvin might start seriously thinking about going to 170. It depends how he loses, but like because he does. I mean, we all seen it. He isn't. We've been around these 85ers. He clearly isn't the biggest 85er. He just kind of looks like a welterweight that just doesn't cut weight, honestly. And which is great. That's healthy. It gives him lots of fluid in his brain, but maybe he might have to find some sort of middle ground. But
they're not bad losses either. Like you said, like they're not bad losses. Like the Hermanson one kind of, it sucks. You got submitted in a minute 18. It's a heel hook. You got caught. Yeah. But that fight with Adesanya is insane. Like people are going to go when you look at the Adesanya tests, that's the one. I mean, Vettori can say all he wants that, I'm the guy that took him to his limit. Yeah, it was an interesting fight and Adesanya got tested, but I mean, heading into that 5th round, I mean, that fight is what made Adesanya a star. It's because that fight was so close. Gastelum was all over him, and it was 2-2. And then Adesanya comes out of nowhere and has that 10-8 5th round. I mean, that was the 5 minutes that made Adesanya the guy who he is right now.
Which is so interesting. It's weird because how the sport works. Adesanya getting his ass kicked and coming back is what made him a star, not him just kicking everyone's asses. It's weird, like how the world because like we saw Adesanya as like it's almost like Kamaru Usman. Like I mean, I don't want to get into it too much, but Kamaru Usman's boring. You're boring, Mr. Decision. Kamaru Usman is dominating fools, and yet the fan base is like, yeah, whatever. But like as soon as he gets into a war and actually gets beat up a bit, like I like watching Kamaru Usman fight. It's a weird thing about prize fighting and fandom.
Yeah.
You know,
They want to see vulnerability. Either first round knockouts and submissions, like wiping people out, or if you're going to go to a decision, they don't want to see you dominate all 3 rounds. They want to see
a story,
what you're made of. Yeah, and look, I fell into that too. I remember I wasn't super convinced about Izzy as like a legitimate like top 5 pound for pound guy. I was like, I guess like I kind of see the skills, but you're right. I fell into that narrative. I want to see him tested, and boy, he was testing that Gastelum fight, and then I'm like, immediately after that fight, I was like, this guy's going to beat Whitaker. This guy, I was 100%. I'm like, yes, if they fight, I am 100% picking. I'm on the Izzy train. And yeah, it had a lot to do with the toughness he showed in that fight. So it's kind of funny how that works. I want to shout out someone in the comments, Haroon Kid, who said, locked myself out of my flat, sat on a bench now with a can of lager and the MMA fighting stream on. Life is good. Thank you, Haroon, for watching. Thank you for joining us, man. That is awesome. We'll do our best to keep you entertained, and hopefully you get back into your flat soon.
That's amazing.
Continue, and then you continue watching us in the comfort of your home.
Let's talk about this real quick. This is a good comment.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Let's get serious.
Watch my 666 regular commenter says, Gilbert has had an awful spell with COVID. I wonder if his cardio will be compromised at all. It's certainly something to consider. We just saw, or we keep hearing about Khamzat Chimaev. We just saw that fight canceled with Leon Edwards again because there are lingering effects. Obviously these guys are getting regularly checked out, and it was determined that Khamzat would not fight. So could this be an issue with Gilbert as well? I mean, it has to be. I think it has to be something that's thought about. Mike, what's your read on that?
Maybe in the December fight, that might be something to kind of consider, but Gilbert's already has laid this out that it was probably a good thing the July fight didn't happen because he was dealing with some things. It took a long time to get over that bout of COVID. He was sick pretty bad for a while. He was stuck at home. He wanted to get in there and train, but his body just wouldn't let him do it even when he was cleared. So he needed that extra time. So I think having this fight bumped to February, even with, it was a big fight in December. Like this was a kind of one of those fights. Like, and if it was on that card with Sterling and Jan that was supposed to be there, like there was a lot of buzz behind that fight in December. I think the extra 2 months is actually going to help Gilbert Burns out tremendously in this fight because I think his cardio will be a lot better. And I think I don't know if he can get over it because I've never had it, but I feel like the fight being pushed back an extra 2 months is only going to help him in the long run.
Yeah, I think the question is, will Gilbert be affected? I don't know if Gilbert in particular will be affected, but I think this is more of a broader question for all the fighters, who have suffered, who have caught COVID. And, because of privacy reasons, I'm sure we all know, like, the fighters you hear about having COVID are just the public ones. It's been out there. A lot of fighters have had it, and it's not good. And I hope Chimaev and it's just an outlier. Just I hope this is just because the research is out there. There's long-term effects for this COVID even after you get over it. So especially for athletes. So I just really cross my fingers that no fighters. This really affects your career, and we won't know the answer to that till after Saturday night.
And it just reminds you, guys, this is something to be taken very seriously. I know. When it first started, we got some mixed messages from the UFC, from fans. I don't want to call out Dana White in the UFC. Fans, a lot of people in the public were like, okay, how big a deal is this really? Can we just get it and just kind of get over it and then move on? But look, we're talking about UFC fighters who are dealing with long-term effects. These are the people in peak human condition. Maybe the toughest athletes in all of sports, which makes them, again, maybe some of the toughest people in the world. And they are having troubles. It's wreaking havoc on some of these people's systems. So it's really bringing into light just how serious this is. Again, we wish the best, of course, for Khamzat. We hope Burns is in peak condition on Saturday. As Mike said, maybe that extra time off might, the fight getting pushed back, hopefully is what was best for him. And we get ourselves a great fight on Saturday. But yeah, it's a good question and a very serious thing that we have to keep in mind for this card. And really, still every card coming up in 2021. Any time a fighter mentions that it's come up or they've had it, it just throws everything off. So, what was the?
Sorry, Jose.
What else we got here?
I had to turn your mic down a little bit. I'm just getting a lot of background noise, so I might not be able to hear you if you chime in. Sorry, I'm just kind of. Jose.
Casey.
Jose, shout out. Yeah.
Yes.
Casey, can I ask you a question?
Yes,
Let me
sir.
ask you a question because you train and you've been at fights with teammates and stuff like that. So there's obviously the big narrative in this fight is former teammate versus former teammate, right? And Daniel Cormier made an interesting point earlier this week that sometimes when you have these matchups and like it was mentioned in a couple of different, like Rashad Evans and John Jones and like a couple of other examples, like those two guys, especially being in the same weight class, those two guys have sparred a lot. All right. And those two guys know who got the better of the other person in the sparring sessions. Nobody else knows. No one's going to tell those stories. No one's going to say anything, but those two guys know like what happened in those sparring sessions. Like one guy got the better of the other guy more times than the other guy, if that makes sense. Do you think that factors into a fight? Like if you know, like if you spar with somebody like so often and one guy got the better of the other guy and they know it, will that affect them in the fight, you think?
Yes and no, because the whole thing about sparring is like in good sparring there's no winning and losing. There's only learning, like, and it really depends how they were sparring like each other, and were they actually sparring to beat the other guy, or like most time you spar is like situational sparring. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna work on this combo and this type of defense. I'm just gonna work on on checking kicks. So I'm just gonna work on making sure I cover up with I don't know. Just there's a lot of things you can do during sparring. So it really depends on how they sparred, and but. Yeah, I mean it's we don't know, like did Gilbert give Kamaru like just really bad beatdowns, or Kamaru was just like, dude, I gotta take a break, or I'm vice versa. I'm just naming the names and stuff. So it's unless we were there knowing how those specific sparring sessions were, it's really hard to tell. So I don't really have an answer for you. It kind of depends how they went at it, to be honest. And I also were they trying to teach, like, because you can spar people, or like, okay, I'm gonna spar because I want to beat this guy up and see how good I am, or you can spar to, well, I'm trying to get better and I'm trying to make my partner better too, and so if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously weren't in the Sanford MMA gym, so we don't know, but still, like I feel like in every gym at some point, like even if they're helping, like Gilbert Burns, and I think you were on like one or two of those interviews that I did with him for What the Heck, like he talked about like how pivotal Kamaru Usman was for the Damian Maia fight, and even like preparing for the Tyron Woodley fight because he had fought them prior. So it's like a nice brain to pick from, obviously. But at some point, those two guys probably got in there and got a little frustrated with each other and probably swang some bolos at each other, and someone did better than the other one. So apparently we have movement here from what I'm being told.
Okay. Ricky Simone. Waiting at 145 this time around.
Is that the return, or at least the attempted return of the Simone mullet?
I gotta get a better look at it. Well, we'll have to ask Jose. He's definitely got a better look.
It looked better. It looked more on the other side.
Jose, can you ask Mr. Simone to turn around?
145.5, the official weight for Ricky Simone.
145.5 for Ricky Simone. He is competing in a featherweight bout against Brian Kelleher.
It's kind of.
It could be. There's hope. There's hope that it's coming back.
Good camera work, Jose. Good camera work.
Thank you, Jose. Michael Easter says hi from Eastern Canada. Shout out to my man, AK. Shout out, Michael Easter. Shout out to Eastern Canada.
So, AK.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Well, Ricky Simone now coming in at 145 for a featherweight bout against another guy who's normally a bantamweight but is competing at 145. Brian Kelleher, also weighing in 145.5 pounds. Guys, that fight is now official. So we are just waiting on one Mr. Bobby Green. And again, no surprise. Like I said, this guy's a professional. He's been around forever. He's made weight countless times. I'm not concerned for Bobby Green at all. He's just taking his time. He's just relaxing, chilling somewhere, and just making us wait. And that's fine. He's earned that. Johnny Canuck from Vancouver. Shout out from Vancouver, where I'm from. That's my hometown. So shout outs to Johnny Canuck. I was born there.
But back to
Vancouver.
Back to Heck's question.
Yes,
about sparring and stuff. I think that to me, like, it can really go both ways, because it's sparring, and like a lot of times when you spar, you don't care if you get hit, or a lot of times you don't You're not trying to beat the other guy, but you're more working your defense. So maybe the other guy, it can give you a lot of false confidence in a real fight. That's all I'm saying. It's so different for every type of situation. Honestly, the thing I'm mostly interested in is like, were these guys? I mean, they say they were friends, but like, were they? There's a big difference between training partners and friends, and like good friends. So like how close friends were they? Because I just have like, trying to break the jaw of your best friend is much different than trying to break your jaw of a training partner who are, you're both fighting for the same bag of money. So that's the thing I'm kind of interested in.
Another kind of interesting layer to this, Casey, is that, and I think DC brought this up earlier this week too, and I got to thinking about it. Henry Hooft is staying out of this fight altogether. Like, he's staying away because of the respect he has for both guys. He's worked with both guys and helped both guys get to where they're at. So Henry Hooft is out of the equation. Kamaru Usman gets Trevor Whitman. So he gains a coach. But Burns loses a coach. Like, who's going to be, like, who's the guy? You know what I mean? Like, we don't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he talked about it at the media day or not, but like, it's a different thing going from Henry Hooft to somebody else. Like, I know Gilbert's comfortable with all these guys. Like, he works with them all the time. Like, who's the pad holder? Like, who's the one in the gym, like, getting them ready for the fight? And I thought that was like a really interesting layer to this fight too, is that like Usman loses Hooft, but he gets arguably the coach of the year in 2020 in Trevor Whitman, and Burns is just, it's just another thing he kind of has to overcome, which if Burns wins this fight tomorrow, like, on top of that, I mean, I understand why. I honestly understand why the odds are where they're at. Like, I understand why he's like nearly a 3-1 underdog in this fight. As good as he is, with all these different layers, I get why the odds are where they're at.
Yeah. Yes. No. It's a unique circumstances for a title fight for sure. It's with all the stuff we talk about, all the delays and the stylistic matchup. Yeah, there's all this stuff. Them being the former training partners, like, there's a lot of hooks to the matchup. It's funny. There's kind of all these hooks to the matchup, but none that sort of, I feel like are necessarily would be able to sink their claws into like the casual fan. I don't know if the casual fan, and I guess that's why, again, the theme of this week that we've discussed so much is like, sorry, I'll read this comment from SSJ_Skylab. They were friends. There's video of Usman talking to Burns' son on AOF Art of Fighting. I mean, I don't know if that means they're close friends, but I get it. It suggests there is some sort of course, beyond just training partners, there's some personal relationship there. So that's kind of, that's kind of cool to know. But as I was saying, it's like, there's all these like little factors. I don't know if, it's the sort of thing that Burns will bring up. Like, let's say Burns loses, if he would bring up after the fight as excuses. I'm sure people will ask. I'm sure we'll ask. It's our job to kind of poke and prod at these angles, yeah, stuff, definitely good information for you guys to know, stuff to consider. I was also looking at, we were talking about all these people coming from Contender Series. Invicta is also responsible for a lot of the talent that's on this card. Alexa Grasso in the co-main event, and Mallory Martin and Miranda Maverick more recently, Invicta standouts who are now made their way to the UFC. I want to say Jillian Robertson is the only Ultimate Fighter alum here. Let me just. Oh, Dhiego. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. Dhiego
Gastelum.
Of course, that's right. Kelvin Gastelum won. Dhiego Lima.
Kamaru Usman won.
Kamaru Usman won. I'm way off in the only thing. And worst, but I really shouldn't have forgotten Dhiego Lima, because Dhiego Lima is the only 2-time Ultimate Fighter finalist. A dubious distinction, maybe. But he is in the history books. He's most fighters don't do 2 seasons, but he did the first season he was on, and then of course the sort of the second comeback. What was it called? Oh, not comeback. Comeback was season 4. They called this one Redemption. I'm sorry. Yes, the Ultimate Fighter Redemption season, and he was also a finalist. He lost to Jesse. Oh my gosh, what's that guy's name? Jesse
Taylor.
Jesse Taylor, yes, the infamous Jesse Taylor.
Remember the big comeback story, and everyone was so happy for him, and then then the test results came back, and then everyone went wah wah. There's a story. There's a guy you could write a book on. I mean, that's a guy who went on a crazy winding path after. There's no nice way of putting it. Messing up his first Ultimate Fighter opportunity. He made the finals of his first one, and then got into some shenanigans in Vegas, a little bit of a wild night in Vegas. Dana White just straight up kicked him out of the finals, sent him out into the
He got Peruvian necktied by CB Dollaway in his first UFC fight, and then was sent to the MMA wilderness, fighting for a dozen different organizations before ending up in the redemption season, and then beating Dhiego Lima, and then having that overturned because of a USADA violation. So, but Dhiego Lima, I'm sorry guys for all this just Taylor talk. Dhiego Lima has stuck around. He also has his own story of, I mean, I thought this guy was going to be out of the UFC like 2 years ago. He hadn't been able to pick up a win. Now he's on a 3-fight win streak. And again, he is one of the most affable, sort of likable fighters that you can have, at least when dealing with the media. So always good to see Dhiego Lima in action. But yes, I'm way off on my Ultimate Fighting. So Ultimate Fighter alums, Kamaru Usman was a winner. Kelvin Gastelum was a winner. And then 2-time finalist Dhiego Lima and Jillian Robertson was also on the Ultimate Fighter. And Usman, by the way, I think was one of the most entertaining recent seasons, the Black Stallions versus American Top Team season.
Wait,
and I wish they would.
Did you call that entertaining? That season entertaining? Is that what you said?
I like that. I love that season.
This is a shocker.
Yeah, I love that. I thought that season was really good.
Wow, that was like one notoriously like worst rated seasons, wasn't it? That was
like rating. You mean like people didn't watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, people didn't watch a lot of the later seasons of The Ultimate Fighter, and I don't blame them.
But that was the season people missed out on. Like, it was great stuff, and
I think, and also, wasn't there some sort of was there some sort of weird network change? Was that one of the reasons, or I feel like there was some broadcasting change?
No, because
I can't
everything Tough was played out, so they go, okay, let's put Tough on the road. Let's make it between camps. And
yeah, and you're right. People had no interest in that whatsoever because the coaches were actual coaches. The coaches were not fighters, which probably hurt it. Even though,
it turned out people didn't actually want to see coaches train fighters properly. They just want to see drama in a house and what fighter's a better roommate. Stranger in the back.
Oh, gosh. Well, I say, Casey, you got to watch out. We're always seeing this person sneaking around in your background, man. You got to be careful.
All right.
Let
me ask you guys a question.
Go ahead.
Who do you think is the biggest favorite on the card tomorrow?
Oh, let me look at the biggest favorites.
I actually looked this up, so I can't answer. I already looked this up.
Vieira, maybe?
Nope.
Not Vieira.
Second. He's second.
He's second.
He is heavily favored. Yeah, he is heavily favored.
Heavy favorite. Oh, I mean, I want. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'll have Vieira. I don't know. I want. Who is it? Wait, Jose's doing his whole like. What do you got?
No, he's.
Are we talking to someone else?
He's dealing with something. He's dealing with something more. He's dealing with some technical issues. Oh, okay. The correct answer, -470. Remember the name, Belal Muhammad, biggest favorite on the card.
Over Lima? That's odd.
Yep, -470.
Oh. That is a trap fight. I remember when this fight got booked, I was Muhammad had been angling for, of course, a higher, finally getting it. He's on, what's the win streak he's on now? He's on a 3-fight win streak, but he's won 7 of 8. Okay, so 3-fight win streak, 7 of 8. In the welterweight division, super tough. I don't care who you're fighting. I know he'd been angling for a higher ranking fight. Oh, I didn't like the Sean Brady matchup either. I don't like, man, I know he's got, I get it. I get it. If he wins this, I do think that creates a change in the eyes of the matchmakers, and he does actually get himself a higher ranked person. But Dhiego Lima, like I said, he's sneaky, and he's had a habit kind of upsetting people and shaking the apple cart, as it were. So I agree with the odds. Like, I actually do agree with the odds. I don't know if the 470 is a little crazy.
That's way crazy. I mean, I'll pick Mom as a favorite, but like Lima's on a 3-fight win streak, and I mean, outside of him being out for over a year because of the world. Yeah, that's a unique line. That's all I can say.
I really liked the Brady matchup. I thought that was like perfect matchmaking because 70 is just so loaded. Like, someone's gonna have to take that sort of next step. Mm-hmm. I mean, Lima's is obviously a nice substitution since Brady was out of that fight, and now Brady's fighting Jake Matthews, which is also a good fight. But I really liked that matchup. That was sort of like the perfect, like, who's the next guy kind of for me.
I think the only thing for me was I feel like Belal has done enough work in the UFC that he shouldn't have to fight someone like who's such a hot prospect. I think a lot of people see Brady as a future top 5 guy if everything falls the right way, if he evolves as he's projected to. So I felt it was a little bit unfair to Belal. I do think Belal. I wish before he gets matched up with a guy like Brady, at least gets one shot at someone ranked higher than him, and then if he loses, then I say you put him in one of these Sean Brady fights, and you see, okay, well, how good is this guy really? So for him to again get another matchup against a tough guy behind him, and I would count Lima on that as well. I think Lima, like I said, is actually a pretty tough opponent, and is ranked behind Belal. I think it's so tough for him, but he's a gamer. Belal Muhammad is a gamer. I feeling there wasn't much complaint on his side. They send him the contract, he signs on it, and hopefully if he does win, he does get a top 10 or like top 12. Just someone higher than him for once. But yeah, that's definitely an intriguing fight to watch, and I wouldn't have mind seeing that one on the main card, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Let's talk about Maycee and Grasso. Barber versus
Sure.
Grasso.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that fight. Actually, I think it's good matchmaking. It's unfortunate for the ladies that is the co-main event for pay-per-view, because that is kind of unfair weight to put on their shoulders. Because all the fans, co-main event. And it's like, it's not... No, it shouldn't. That fight shouldn't be a co-main event for pay-per-view. No, it shouldn't. But it's a very good fight, and unfortunately, because of all the fight dropouts and the 2,000 billion UFC cards, they couldn't fill it up with a more of a well-known one. But man, I think Grasso is awesome. I think Barber is. I think she's powerful and very aggressive, man. But I want to see how she comes back from this injury. And I like this fight a lot. I'm just like really excited for it, when it actually happens. And,
Casey, I sent you a work-related message in Slack. I don't want to. This is inside sports stuff. You guys, viewers, don't need to see this stuff. This is how the sausage is made. But yeah, Casey, you make a lot of good points about this matchup. It's funny. In the comments earlier, someone said, "I'm not familiar with Grasso." But I think Barber, but they were familiar with Barber, which is funny to me because some years ago I feel like it was Grasso who was sort of this super hot prospect coming out of Invicta, was undefeated, was very young. I think when she came to the UFC, I want to say she was maybe 24 years old, because she's only 27 now. So I believe she was 24 or something around that. One of the top under 25 prospects in all of MMA, and everyone, well, not everyone, but most hardcore fans knew who she was, but. And I'm not calling out this person, by the way, who says that they didn't know who Grasso is. I'm actually just kind of pointing out how now it's Barber who's the hot name, and Grasso, it's funny, she's only 27, but kind of has this veteran. It's kind of a veteran of the game as being viewed as a potential litmus test or stepping stone, whatever you want to call it for Barber. But again, it could be Grasso with one win here. If she knocks off Barber, gets another win, you could see Grasso competing. I do think you could see her competing for the title by the end of the year, if only because Valentina needs fresh meat, as it were. And I think that'd be certainly an intriguing fight. I don't know if I like Grasso's chances, but
I think Grasso's potential is really very high. And yeah, I mean, Valentina is Valentina. That's a whole nother word. That's a whole nother game right there. But yeah, her either Grasso or Barber fighting for the title by end of the year, possibly. That's why I think the UFC put Barber in this co-main event spot, though, because they still want to go for that. What I think I saw Aaron Bronstetter said she still has basically like 300-something days to be the youngest UFC champion ever, and they need reasons to sell a Shevchenko fight, and if that's the angle they have to go on, cool. That's the promoter. So by putting if Barber gets a dominant decision a dominant victory over Grasso, and then maybe one more win after that, yeah, she can fight for that title. I think she would justifiably deserve a title shot, and try to beat the John Jones record. John Jones holds the record, right? The youngest champion. Correct.
You're right. Look, Maycee's very media friendly. Her fights have been pretty exciting. If anyone wants to watch her fights, her fights have been pretty exciting. So the UFC likes her style for sure. Very aggressive. And yeah, that would be a great thing to sell. Like I said, if this could happen within the next 200 days, if she gets another big win, I think they would. I wonder if the UFC would try to make that like an ESPN. I mean, I don't know if they would put that on pay-per-view, Occasionally they do throw title fights on free TV, sort of, and I wonder if Barber Shevchenko would be best served as a UFC on ESPN or UFC on ABC. Maybe the first title fight on ABC. It's funny. I do wonder how they would want to market that, because even as a pay-per-view headliner, it would be I don't know how many people would buy into that. It might need to be a card of 2 title fights. But they have options with Barber, and she has created this great narrative for herself with very early on in her career, off of Contender Series, saying, "I want to become the youngest UFC champion ever." So that's had her on the UFC's radar for so long, as far as how to book her. And she got herself co-event spot at age 22. I think she's still only 22, right?
Yeah, she's young.
wild.
She's super young.
Mike, what were you doing when you were 22?
The odds are, this is the closest odds fight on the card, which is understandable. But 2, let's compare the resumes. Like, Barber is a super talented fighter, especially at a young age, and there is potential through the roof for her. No doubt about it. Powerhouse. But Alexa Grasso, she has fought some killers along the way. She's like, even in Invicta, like fighting Ashley Cummins, that is not an easy fight at all. Fighting Alita Gray in 2014, that is not an easy fight at all. Mizuki Inoue in 2015, not an easy fight. Jodie Escobel. Then she gets to the UFC, fights Heather Clark, probably a fight she was supposed to win. Then fights Felice Herrig, Randa Marcos, Tatiana Suarez, Karolina Kovalevich, loses to Carla Esparza in a fight that a lot of people thought she won.
Yep.
So, I mean, and then moving up to 25, and Jeon Kim is a really talented fighter too. She has fought I'm not going to say a murderer's row, but like a step below that. She's like, every fight she's had in the, like, over the last 5 or 6 years, outside of maybe 1 or 2, has been like a legit either title challenger, like #1 contender, former champion. Like, she has fought like really tough competition along the way. And when you have a fight like this that's so closely matched, I tend to lean more towards the experienced fighter. So I am leaning towards Grasso to win, but my confidence level just isn't that high because, I mean, we haven't seen Maycee Barber in so long. Like, and even like her stepping on the scale, that's probably the best she's looked on the scale since signing with the UFC. Like, she's in great shape. She looks ripped. She looks ready to go. But Grasso is no joke whatsoever. And this is Barber's fought some tough people, and Roxanne Modafferi is an experienced fighter, no doubt about it. And she was definitely like disrespected on the betting lines. But I think overall, this is the toughest fight of Maycee Barber's career, even tougher than Roxy.
I believe so.
Yeah, and Mike, you make a good point as far as like when fighters are this young and in this stage of their careers, and in this case, like you said, it's been a year since her last fight. They can look completely different. Like I still do my predictions for this card, and obviously I'm gonna take a look at Barber's last fight or last couple of fights, and frankly, that information could just be very outdated by now. She could be a vastly improved striker. Her grappling could be even better now. There's really no way of knowing. Grasso's not old. Grasso's 27 years old, right? She's also still developing. So who knows how much she's improved since her last fight. So it is one of the more difficult fights to predict. I completely understand why the line, like I said, is a close one. I'd like to know, I'm going to look this up now, what is the Tapology fan percentage? A little bit less close, but still somewhat close. 61% for Barber.
Wow.
And of that 61%, 31%. This is actually pretty high. 31% predicting Barber by KO or TKO.
I'll tell you what.
They mean probably ground and pound.
Yeah, if she goes out there and, good God, if she goes out there and stops Alexa Grasso tomorrow night, she wants Joanne Calderwood. I'm fine with that.
That makes sense. Although I think JoJo has already earned a shot, so I don't really think they need to fight each other. Because Valentina is kind of I think they're kind of desperate for a fresh contender, so there's no reason for JoJo to fight. I think she's earned the title shot. Basically, I just don't think they need to do that. But
you don't think she needs another win?
JoJo? No. She had
Why?
She had the title shot already. She had the title shot already. She took a short notice fight against an opponent she wasn't prepared for. She lost that fight. She wins her next fight. She wins handily over a top 5. What was Jessica Ai ranked? She was still a top ranked fighter.
Like 7 or 8 maybe.
Yeah, so she beat the top 10 fighter. Boom, she got it. Why does Grasso have to, why does Calderwood have to go backward and fight Barber?
No, I don't think. I'm not saying that's the fight that should be made. I'm saying that's the fight Barber wants. The fight that should be made, in my opinion, at this point is Calderwood versus Lauren Murphy, and then the winner of that fight would get the next shot.
Was that just talking about the wrong thing then? Sorry.
No. Because Barber said if she goes out and wins, she's gonna call out Jillian Calderwood. Like that's the fight she wants.
I mean, she can, but why doesn't she call out Murphy?
Yeah, I mean, she feels the reasoning behind it is she feels like Murphy and Andrade and Maya and like even Calvillo, they're like the tier, they're like the title tier, and she said like Calderwood is like just a slight notch below that.
Yeah, I think Calderwood after Andrade is the number one contender. But
she looked really good in that eye fight. That was I think that was overall her best performance, like start to finish. That was her consistent best performance in my opinion.
The 25er on this card that I do actually think has the most potential is actually someone we kind of barely talked about is Miranda Maverick. Actually, I think Miranda. I mean, as much as I like Grasso and like watching her fight, I just love her. She has like the best right cross in all of female fighting, I think. But Miranda Maverick, I think, is just a beast and just getting better. And I think she has a good head on her shoulders. And this is what she just like. She just looks like a woman. She's like, this is what I want to do. I am ready for this, you know. And I'm really excited for Miranda Maverick fight. I'm bummed it's so early on the card which means, you know, even no matter how good it is, by the time the card ends, we're gonna barely be talking about it. You know, it's honest, you know. But so this might be the most we're gonna talk about Miranda Maverick for the weekend, unless she just kind of gets a knockout or submission of the year type performance. But just being so early in the card, that card's not even on ESPN, right? It's on Fight Pass only, right?
It's a Fight Pass, yeah.
Yeah, so like,
is it not also on ESPN Plus? Is it not on both? It's only on Fight Pass.
It's so weird.
I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong.
We don't have ESPN Plus in Canada, so I have no idea.
But like everywhere I've seen is Fight Pass. Miranda Maverick's only a slight favorite too, -145.
I mean, yeah, it's a
that's fair. That's fair. Jillian Robertson's really good.
No, I don't mind the line.
I'm not saying
I don't mind the line. I think the line's actually good. It's a proper line, but I just think Maverick has that potential. You know, this is gonna be one of those fights where if Miranda Maverick is as good as I believe she can be, it's gonna be one of those fights where we look back a couple years like, oh, remember when Maverick goes to pick him against Robertson? That's wild. But we'll see. That's why the ladies fight.
Jillian Robertson only 25.
What?
Miranda, only 25. Miranda Maverick only 23. Maycee Barber 22. There's some crazy talents coming up at 125 and 115. Kay Hansen. How old is Kay Hansen? Like 21.
She might be one of the young.
She's just turned 21.
She's turned 21. Aaron Blanchfield. Aaron Blanchfield Invicta, I think is like 20, also 21 or 20 or 21.
Aaron Blanchfield's gonna be great.
There's some real talent coming up at 125 and 115. It is crazy how good and how advanced some of these fighters are relative to kind of like where they would have been 10 years ago if they were coming up in the sport. It's amazing. And again, like I said, credit to Invicta, credit to all these other promotions that are hosting these female fights because they're really starting to get that talent at a high level. So take that, Stephen A. Smith. I hate to bring it up, but take that.
Oh wow!
All right. Oh, I know. I'm never the one to bring him up. I'm never the one to
put his name in the headline now.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
You want to hear something crazy?
Go for it.
Please.
I love crazy.
I always.
When I interviewed Miranda Maverick in October, which by the way did not get released, but it will be very soon.
Just hit the public button.
It's coming. It's coming. Don't worry about it. We set it up. It's coming. It's a good conversation. But she told me that because we talked about like her road to get to the UFC, and like I asked her if like there was any talk about her being on the Contender Series, and she said yes. And the fight that they wanted to do was Miranda Maverick versus Aaron Blanchfield on the Contender Series, and Miranda was like, I think I can get there like on my own. Like it doesn't make sense. The fight doesn't make sense. She's like, it just doesn't. Yeah. The fight makes no sense to me. Like she's young in her career. Like I'm just fighting for the sake of fighting. Like I'll go fight Invicta and like win another fight or two, and then I'll get to the UFC. I'm gonna get there. She just didn't feel the need of going on the Contender Series.
Good. I'm good for her. Good for her.
Smart. No, just her head, when you see this interview come out, just like watch from start to finish. For a 23-year-old woman, she had the head on her shoulders is like so impressive. Like it's unbelievable. The way she has her like everything's just mapped out perfectly. Like she has her like all these goals and like everything is just like realistic and smart. Like in everything she's doing along the way, going for a PhD, she's teaching like college classes right now as a TA. Like all this while being a professional fighter. She knows when she wants to stop fighting. Like 30 years old, early 30s, she's done. Like I'm gonna move on to the next phase of my career. Like it's just amazing. Like it's super impressive listening to her speak about like what her life is like and the goal she has. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's the same vibe I got from her when I met her at Invicta shows. Like maybe her first or second fight. At least I don't know if it was first or second fight. I don't think she made a professional debut, but at least her kind of televised kind of coming out party for the public. You know, yeah, I just got that vibe from her. Like, oh, this woman, I'm gonna see this woman for a while. Basically, you know, like she's gonna be around for a while. We talked to a lot of prospects, a lot of guys on regional scenes and stuff. So like, it's kind of cool watching them, you know, where they started. Like, oh, okay, this is where, you know, my instincts were correct, at least with this fighter, you know. So
yeah.
Oh, we need
every now and then we pick a good one.
Yeah.
Even a blind squirrel can find a nut. I tell people. So
is that what you tell people?
we are under. I may have made that phrase up. If we're being honest. If you've heard that before, it may have come from me. We are actually under 30 minutes now, but I have to insist that look, we are waiting for one person. We are waiting for Bobby Green. If my memory serves, this is typical for. You know what, Marcus Atunkar, ask and you shall receive. There is the list of who has made weight. We are just waiting for Bobby Green. Has not had issues making lightweight in the past. Typically comes in late at weigh-ins if I'm remembering correctly. So he's a veteran of the game. He's just taking his time. He could be underweight and having an early snack. I don't know. But Bobby Green, I would not be worried. I'm not saying it's not possible. I don't want to be, you know, you can clip this later if I'm wrong and Bobby Green comes in heavy, but I'm fairly confident he's just taking his time and maybe he's even watching the stream right now and laughing and enjoying the fact that he's making the most of the full. Hey, he has 2 hours. There is no rule that says you have to come in the first half an hour, in the first 45 minutes, the first hour. You're given 2 hours for a reason. You can do with that 2 hours as you choose. So, Bobby Green, it's your world, and wherever you are, hope you're having a good time, and that we see you step in that scale, looking healthy very soon. Casey, can we take? I see a lot of I don't know, arguing in the YouTube comments. There's a whole debate. There's a whole debate going on. Like leave them to it.
Okay.
But are there any questions?
We got a commission guy. He's touching the scale.
Oh, he did. Yep. Got to check the bar. Our commission guy has been very meticulous today.
That looks like it's set for 156 pounds. So I'm guessing.
Smart. Yep, he does. You know, oh, Chris. Well, you know, I don't know if I can't remember if we officially did this show, but our Chris Durube, of course, always there with a Duval. So thank you, Chris Durube, for reminding us. Shout outs to Duval. Shout outs to anyone celebrating a Chinese New Year of the Ox. So a lot to celebrate. So shout outs to anyone just joining us. Mike Heck's birthday. I think just turned 30.
We've already sung happy birthday, people, so you missed it. So you have to rewind the stream if you want.
We already, so you got to rewind all the way and see us sing a stirring rendition of Happy Birthday. The harmonies were just incredible. Sorry, I said 30. Mike, you're 29, I think. Sorry, I think Mike's 29. Yeah, he looks amazing.
Dude, I'll take either of those. I'm fine. I'm fine with either of those.
Mike, you don't look a day over 28. You look fantastic, and happy to celebrate all of these things, and I'm happy to celebrate everyone watching. We have several. I sometimes I can't believe the viewership numbers on these early morning on the West Coast weigh-ins. So thank you everyone who's watching. If you have any questions, guys, now is the time. We are waiting for Bobby Green. Apologies to anyone who's threw questions in there earlier. There you go, Christopher Bay. Thank you. Apologies to anyone earlier who threw in questions. We got in deep into some topics, so we hope that we provide some information there. Ron Willie, one of the face-offs, always an excellent question. Should be happening right after. I don't know. Jose, can you hear us? I assume. Yep, right as usual.
No ceremonials.
Will we? We'll stay with the stream.
Yes, we'll stay here.
Yes. So people stay with the stream if you're waiting for the face-offs. Again, it'll probably be Bobby Green coming in at 1:58 Eastern time, and walking in with a smile on his face, probably a cookie in his hand or something. And then we will go right into the weigh-ins after. It might be, again, 5-10 minute break while they clear the scale and get things ready. Was that Brett Okamoto we just saw on screen, I think? Shout-outs to Brett on site. Sandy fam. Happy Chinese New Year, Sandy fam. Jose, can you hear me? I don't know if Jose's muted right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up?
Howard, again, I just want to see how you're doing. I always like to get an update. How's the air down there? How's the atmosphere with one person left to go?
Literally just waiting on Bobby. Yes, that was Brett in front of you. Yeah, just waiting on Bobby. Supposedly we might get Dana between. So after face-offs, we might get Dana. And then after Dana, we have another talent media day with Megan O'Leary, John Anik, and Daniel Cormier, which will be a separate stream.
Okay, excellent. So there you guys, Stare Down Talent Media Day. Please stay tuned for all of that. The media day, people always have great insights on the fights coming up and a bunch of topics, I'm sure. I see Sandy, man, I'm older than Mike. Well, Sandy, I think I am
31.
too.
Sandy Pam.
Sandy, you're 30. You're 31. You are not.
31
Stop
years
it.
old, Sandy Pam.
I see Gia Romero Mendez asking, "Is Mike Canadian?" He'd be so much cooler if he was, wasn't he? No, he is from the otherwise deplorable New England area. Not really nothing good comes from there. And but I still love Mike all the same. So no, shout out New England. Shout out New England.
That's right.
You guys will get out of it. Anyone from New England watching, you guys will get out of there someday. Don't worry. Hold on to your dreams. Someday you'll get out of there and move out of that area. So we are just waiting on one Mr. Robert Bobby Green. I don't even know if it is short for. He's probably Robert, right? Bob Bobby Green. He wouldn't want me to call him that.
We're getting fun technical issues again.
Oh, we're having some technical issues. Don't worry, Jose. As a pro, Jose's on top of these things. You will see. We'll have the weigh-ins for you. He's on top of things. So let's do him. We have just under 20 minutes left. Plenty of time for Bobby Green to show up. I don't know if we need to do a rundown. I guess we could. Mike, yeah, may as well. Mike, do you want to do a rundown of the weigh-ins while we wait for one Mr. Bobby Green?
Sure, we could do that.
Hold on. Let me.
Wait. I assume there'll be music.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys.
I'm gonna change it up a little bit. Here we go. Here, let's get some weigh-in
geez,
music. Yeah.
No pressure.
Come on.
Maybe there's some hand gestures in there. It's your birthday. Everyone watching at home. Can you sing "Happy Birthday" while Mike is reading off the? Go ahead, Mike. We won't do it on the show, but please, if you're at home, sing "Happy Birthday."
All right, here we go. Weigh-in music. And Mr. Mike Heck with the weights.
Thank you, Casey. Official weigh-in results. Main event for the UFC welterweight championship of the world. Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns both weighed in at 170 pounds. Co-main event, flyweight matchup. Very fascinating fight. Maycee Barber returns for the first time in over a year. Weighed at 126. Takes on Alexa Grasso, who weighed at 125.5. Julian Marquez, first fight in nearly 1,000 days. He weighed in at 185 on the nose. Taking on Maki Pitolo, also weighed in at 185 on the nose. Another fascinating middleweight fight. Kelvin Gastelum looking to snap a 3-fight skid. Weighed in at 186, taking on Ian Heinisch, who weighed in at 185.5. 140-pound catchweight matchup between Andre Ewell and Chris Gutierrez. Gutierrez 140 on the nose. Andre Ewell 138.5. Polyana Vieira weighed in at 116 for her matchup against Mallory Martin, who weighed in at 115.5. Gabe Green, his sophomore appearance, weighed in at 169.5. He'll take on the debuting Philip Rowe, the Fresh Prince himself, weighed in at 171. Highly touted middleweight prospect Rodolfo Vieira, weighed in at 186, takes on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, also weighed in at 186. This will actually be the first fight of the night. Jillian Robertson and Miranda Maverick, both ladies weighed in at 125.5. And he, as Brian Kelleher liked to put it, the quarantine weight class. Ricky Simone, Kelleher, both weighed in at 145.5. Jim Miller weighed in at 155.5, still waiting on Bobby King Green. And then Dhiego Lima weighed in at 171, taking on Belal. Remember the name Muhammad, who weighed in at 169.5. There's your rundown. Back to you, AK.
Yes, thank you, Mike. And I guess it's fair to say that, with the exception of one fight, all of Saturday's fights are official. What's that? What has happened?
Dang.
Okay. I'm sorry. I think Casey is maybe helping Jose with a. It's even better. It's even better when it comes in late. There we go. So guys, we're just working on our technical side of things. So thank you for your patience as always. Again, you guys are the greatest. You don't want to miss Bobby Green. He's gonna come, barring something strange happening. I expect him to show up on time and to make weight. So we will have that for you. And then we'll have the stare downs. Oh, I always like to ask this while we maybe wait for some guys. Again, people, we have 15 minutes. If you've got any questions come in, we'll make sure we will have a live Q&A. For anyone who doesn't know, we have been doing Q&As before every event. Thank you, Hans Dom, for the compliment. Before 45 minutes before UFC
Bobby Green.
Oh, here we go.
Green.
Here's Bobby
Green.
Green.
Oh,
I can shut my yap now, guys. They don't need to hear from me anymore. Here's Bobby Green.
Oh, we're gonna have to provide audio for this because we don't. Jose doesn't have his mic turned on.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll have it.
Green.
156.
Thank you, Jose.
24, we will stare these athletes down here at the top of the
That was 156 guys for Bobby Green. So his fight with Jim Miller is now official. Okay. I think you broke it. I told you. You're doing it too much. You're doing it too much.
Oh man,
I think you broke it.
I broke the soundboard.
So there we go, guys. That is our official card. You can see it on the screen right there. Title fights official, co-main event. Everyone successfully made weight. Always nice to see. Nothing without a hitch. Fingers crossed. Again, as Jose always says, nothing is actually official until they step into the cage. But fingers crossed. So far, everyone's on point. Everything is going as planned. We'll keep an eye on the news Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon before the card. We certainly have had some late withdrawals in recent, really over the past year. Many of them related, of course, to sort of the complications with organizing shows during the COVID-19 pandemic. So just last week, just last week we lost Askar and Cody Stamen. The much anticipated debut of Askar, who has also been released. You guys can find some information on that on MMAfighting.com. But for now, sorry guys, I went a bit of a ramble there. For now, I think Casey, we might take a little pause in the action. Mike, we might take a little pause in the action, guys. Stay on the stream. We will bless you with music. But otherwise, thank you for joining Jose, Mike, Casey, and myself on the official weigh-ins broadcast. Stare downs will be coming up. There's your countdown in 15 minutes. Everyone's just made weight. And we'll have that wonderful, wonderful stare down drama. Hopefully everyone's nice and friendly, all hugs and handshakes. But that is it for us on the official weigh-ins. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for stare downs.
Literally, I can't see like
Oscar, can you see if I'm on mic? You're good. The best hair in MMA media. ¿Qué pasó? What's what?
I just requested to join his
It's just fun. Huh? The internet is pretty bad. Like our stream was crystal, and then it just turned into potato. Just because everyone's streaming and uploading at the same time now.
All right, folks, UFC President Dana White is in the building. We are going to get to the Saturday 250 Usman versus Munhoz live on pay-per-view. We will begin with UFC Fight Pass prelims. First out of the shoot, women's flyweight division, Jillian the Savage Robertson versus Miranda Maverick.
What is up, guys? You can see the weigh-ins have begun. There's Jillian Robertson and Miranda Maverick.
Versus Phil, the Fresh Prince Rowe.
Now it is Gabe Green and Phil Rowe. Thank you guys for tuning in. As you can see, the some internet difficulties down at the apex, but it's a nice little gesture by Gabe Green, staring up at the considerably taller Phil Rowe.
All right, next fight in the featherweight division: Ricky Simone versus Boom.
Two veteran bantamweights now competing at 145 pounds for this occasion. Brian Boom Boom Kelleher and Ricky Simone. Ricky Simone showing hints of the return of the mullet. We don't want to get our hopes up. Could just be he hasn't cut his hair in a while, but it looks like he's looking a little mullety.
Right, these next four prelims you can see live on ESPN. We begin at a catch weight of 140 pounds. The entree, Mr. Highlight Rules of Gutierrez.
ESPN prelim opener. Again, we have bantamweights competing a little bit heavier than usual to accommodate a book that was booked on short notice. Excuse me. Andre Ewell and Chris Gutierrez is a 140-pound catchweight bout. Impressive hair there from Andre Ewell.
All right, moving on now to the UFC strawweight division. Vieira versus
Now we have our lone strawweight bout of the card, Mallory Martin and Polyana Viana.
All right, next prelim comes away. The Belal, remember the name Muhammad versus Dhiego Lima.
Two welterweights now on 3-fight win streaks, looking to make a statement, creep their way up those rankings in what is one of the deeper divisions. There's Belal Muhammad and Dhiego Lima.
All right, in our featured prelim in the middleweight division, Rodolfo Vieira versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez.
Unbeaten BJJ ace Rodolfo Vieira and Anthony Hernandez here. This is a middleweight bout. And we'll close out the preliminary card.
All right, that brings us to the main card. We can see it live on ESPN. pay-per-view. First, the middleweight division, Maki Coconut Bombs Pitolo versus Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez.
Two great nicknames here. Maki, Coconut Bombs Pitolo, and the Cuban Missile Crisis, Julian Marquez. Marquez hopefully stepping into the cage tomorrow night for the first time in over 950 days.
Next up, it'll be a featherweight division. Gastelum versus number 15 in the Hurricane Heinisch.
Two more middleweights coming up. One-time title contender Kelvin Gastelum and Ian the Hurricane Heinisch, who a lot of people have been high on for a long time, looking to find some consistency and going to run up the 185-pound ladder. Gastelum looking to snap a 3-fight losing streak.
Right now we get to the co-main event, high stakes women's flyweight division, number 10, Maycee the Future Barber versus 15th ranked Alexa Grasso.
22-year-old Maycee Barber getting a big test here against Alexa Grasso, who will be competing at 125 pounds in the UFC for the second time. This is your flyweight co-main event.
Undisputed UFC welterweight championship, Nigerian making his third defense against number 1 contender Gilbert Burns.
And here's your main event. The number 1 contender, Gilbert Burns, facing the champion, Kamaru Usman, looking to start his UFC career 13-0. 13 straight UFC wins would break the record for most longest UFC welterweight win streak held by some guy named George St. Pierre.
Usman and Burns under the lights tomorrow night. Live review.
There you go, everyone. Thank you. There's a former teammates turned opponents for tomorrow night. Thank you for sticking around. Stick around a little bit while longer, please, because we will have a scrum with Dana White. The boss man's going to answer some questions. That will be up shortly. Thank you, everyone, for watching so far. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, hey, hold on. Hey, Kay, you still there?
Oh,
I know.
yep.
Question for you, in case no Bob Green Joe is stare down.
Oh, yes, that's right. I did not notice. Yes, Bobby Green and Jim Miller, who were scheduled to open the main card, were not there. That's an excellent point. So we will look into that. We don't know what is the status of that fight. Both men successfully made weight earlier today, but we'll keep you updated if anything is up with the Jim Miller Bobby Green fight. Very interesting. Thanks, Jose, for bringing that up. But yep, guys, stick around. We'll have questions for Dana White.
What's up, guys? How are you?
What's face off there?
Listen, man, I thought all the face-offs were awesome, and they were all really good. Everybody's super intense today. Love it.
Was anything being said? I mean, I saw Usman and Burns. They wouldn't break talking at all.
No, they didn't say a word. When that happens, I know I'm in a situation where neither one want to break. I think Maynard will be here for a week.
What do you think about this? Because it feels like the fight is kind of put a little bit much hyper. People are selling Gilbert Burns short or not respecting him as a challenger.
I think people are stupid. That's what I think. I think that remember a time when people were bitching about Alexander Gustafsson Jones. This is the fight again. This is We'll know after. Fortunately, if you didn't watch it, you're gonna have to go back and watch it. Those are the people that know about fighting.
No, so fucking for so long, and you know, I don't ever worry about that stuff. I don't care about that. We got a badass fight on Saturday night, and if you're smart, if you're not, too bad for you. It doesn't matter to me.
What do you think about Usman's status as a champion? I see people throw out the percent comment every chance they get to kind of hate on the guy. Do you feel like he's not getting the respect he deserves at this point?
The Usman's the ones that I've seen guys. You know, Usman got the third, you know, was crazy about at that time too. Then he fought RDA, and he completely changed the way that I looked at him. And ever since the RDA stud, the Colby is one of the best fights I've ever seen in my entire. He wins tomorrow. Just tomorrow is silly because this fight and Burns, he's a 3-1 favorite. That's crazy. That's crazy. If people don't know who Burns really is, but what the hell was I going with that? We were talking about. Oh yeah, Usman tomorrow night wins George St. Pierre's streak record, and if you look at tomorrow night, he's got Colby, which is a needless fight. He's got Matt, he's got Leon, and I think once he continues to win like this, everybody's going to start to go, God damn, this guy's one of the greatest of all time.
You mentioned those three names. I mean, that seems like all those guys are kind of jockeying for the number one position, right? Do any stand out for the winner?
No, they're still. I think what we do now with Hamzat is what we're looking at Colby versus Leon. That fight would fight.
Interesting. We all thought Colby and Jorge would be pitches, and that's the way out. Is it not the case now, or did that change everything?
Well, in this world we're living in now, things change every minute. You know, it's like, you know, Hamzat 3 times in weeks, and now fighting 3 months. You know, just got to kind of roll with it. So,
are you worried about? I mean, do we need to be about his health long term?
I think that we didn't get in this guy's mentality. Probably didn't listen. Probably didn't do what he was supposed to do. Definitely not getting the best health care he could possibly get. So I'm gonna try to get him with some real doctors, and then, you know, get him. We had a conference call with his PA and Doc Davidson, so we'll get him.
This Colby, is that the 5 minute down on that? Does that look like it's done?
No, I mean, that's what makes sense, right? That listen, and for a guy, Leon accepts the fight with the number 15 ranked guy who is a savage. Nobody else wants to fight this guy. The fight keeps falling out left and right. It happens to him this way with Leon, not this. So, you know, kid, the reserves and stepping up and taking these fights and doing what he's done, get him the right.
You do tough with those? Get him fighting faster than that.
Yeah.
Fighting faster.
Yeah, fight faster. Yeah. We'll figure tough out.
Fair enough. Last thing for me, what's it going to take for you to leave poor Habib alone, man? The guy just wants to retire. let him go off.
It's not gonna happen.
Hey, Dana. Did we lose?
Until Habib says, leave me alone, asking me, I'm done.
Otherwise, you just have a dinner like one.
He's not saying that. He said that.
He's taking the meeting.
All right.
Did we lose and Miller off this card?
Bobby Green just collapsed back there. Doctors are looking at him. So they're trying to rehydrate him right now.
Is that a weight cut issue probably?
Gotta be. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I don't know, but
I tweet that you guys were looking at Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, the trilogy of the fight that makes guys next.
They both want it. So when you got 2 guys, trilogy is bad as to do.
Do we sort of time frame that could happen?
No, this summer. It'll happen this summer.
Cool. And there's, just to clarify, there's probably no chance that Colby versus Leon happens on March 13th. Or are you going to try and make you take it on that short notice?
I think Colby's been training anyway. I think Colby's ready to. We'll see. I mean, to get this thing just happened yesterday, rambling. I can't. And we're trying to figure this stuff out right now. Yep.
And over here on your right.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Then for the last year, essentially, you've been very committed. Fight Apex or Fight Island. Recently, you confirmed working on Singapore and Asia. Just with everything going on, I guess decision to accept these two locations that we've been used to.
The one thing I also told you is I'll be first. I guarantee you that I'll be first before anybody else goes. I'll be the first one to sell out an arena or stadium or however it plays out. But we've been talking to, obviously, Florida, who's been an absolute, stud state since this whole thing started. And now even Vegas, we're talking. So we'll see what happens. But I have the Apex, I have Fight Island, and I have, if it doesn't go that way, I'm good. We're dialed in.
Do we have an idea about the fan situation that we might see in Singapore, full capacity, half, etc.?
That I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do as far as fans. I think that if we do a full capacity fight, it'll be Florida or Vegas.
We know that we don't see it as much here in the United States, but Zhang Weili, obviously a big deal.
Or Abu Dhabi, actually. I don't know how I forgot about it. Or Abu Dhabi.
We know Zhang Weili does amazing numbers in Asia, being from the area. I want to know if you're planning to kind of stack that card. Her countrywoman, Jian Xiaonan, that fight seems to be something that could be big in China. Is that something you consider putting her on that card with Weili?
Yeah, we'll have a lot of talent, Asian talent on the card. Obviously, if we're in Asia, we're going to stack it with the proper fights for that market.
Thank you.
Yep. Good. Yeah.
Have you gotten the vaccine yet?
Have I what? Have I gotten the vaccine? Possibly. Thanks. Yeah.
Oh, I was just wondering, Gina Carano, she's been in the news lately, and I know the UFC's basically had more of a stance of letting the fighters speak their mind. I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that.
Leave Gina alone. Listen, we make mistakes. We all make mistakes. For everybody to go in on her. I love how Ariel Helwani made it all about him. It was all about him. Such a douche. But yeah.
Any more details on the potential lightweight tournament? That you mentioned?
No, we don't have anything done yet. But if you look at number 1 through number 9, number 9 being Benil, who was very upset last week and felt like he should be talked about, and he's right. So number 1 through number 9 is all, the baddest dudes in the world in that division. So we'll start putting those fights together soon and determine who gets to fight for the title, vacant or Khabib.
So is the tournament to determine who the champion will be for the lightweight division, or that's separate? You're going to have that determined separate.
What's the question?
The lightweight tournament.
Yeah.
Is the tournament going to determine who the champion is?
Yeah, it's not a proper tournament. It's we'll space these fights out and yeah, those fights will determine who gets a shot at the title or fights for the vacant title.
Cool. Thanks.
All right, buddy.
Looks like you guys are going to stick around, even though Dana's gone. All right.
John, did you have to recuse yourself from calling the Belal Muhammad fight? Is that too much of a conflict of interest there for you?
So if you don't know what John is talking about, Belal Muhammad has a video podcast with my twin brother under the Anakin Florian podcast banner. But I go back, way back with Dhiego Lima, right? One of Brian Stan's longtime training partners. So no conflict of interest. Diego's my guy too, but certainly excited for Belal to have a clean bill of health and to try to spin this thing forward, man, because he is criminally underappreciated. He's won 7 of 8, 3 in a row, only lost to Jeff Neal. I don't have to tell you that, but this is the time for Belal to really have the coming out party on the card in which the belt in his division is going to be on the line. He's prioritized a finish, and certainly is going to help his show if he can get that done. So we'll see.
You guys prepping for this event, you got a taste of having crowds back, right? And now you don't again. Did that change anything the way you're approaching your job, or just the way you experience it?
It can't change my approach, but I'm a fan first, and I really appreciated having those people in the building. Even though we had hockey boards between us and the fans, you could be sure I was going over there and trying to incite them and talk to them. But I can't wait till we have fans back in the building. I feel like even if it's 2,000 fans, they can sound like 10,000. And as you guys know, any of you that were there for UFC 257, that crowd brought it. So, dude, say the word, man. I'll take extra COVID tests if need be. I want fans in the building.
As you were prepping for this main event, man, I think we've been hanging on every guy's word between Usman and Burns, trying to figure out which one of them actually got the better of each other in training. What did you take from it in your extensive conversations with him? Have you figured out who was beating who in the training room?
It seems like Gilbert has a lot of confidence that he can submit Kamaru if this fight happens extendedly on the canvas. I think Kamaru has been more tight-lipped, and that's obviously been his approach in the past. I think what was most interesting to me was to hear what both guys had to say about the friendship, because Kamaru Usman seems to think that maybe he overstated the friendship prior, and now maybe they're just going to be acquaintances, whereas Gilbert, I think, would love to bury the hatchet as soon as this fight is over and sort of rekindle things. So they seem to be in different places. My informed speculation is that even though Kamaru would have the odds makers and the professional bettors out there, how about some love for Kamaru Usman? I mean, this man has put on paper one of the most dominant careers in any division in UFC history. And you start to invoke the name George St. Pierre, you start to pass that guy, you put yourself in a Hall of Fame jacket pretty soon thereafter. So that's a big storyline for me as Kamaru looks to continue his welterweight greatness.
Last thing for me, I mean, obviously this has all been all about the main event, the titles on the line, but I think the card's kind of deep in terms of like matchups. So is there one fight in particular or one fighter in particular that you're looking at that's really standing out to you that maybe, you know, people should be getting ready for and paying attention to?
I remember when Alexa Grasso made her UFC debut and how highly touted she was at the time. And now she has developed into a 5-tool fighter. So wicked excited for the co-main event to see Maycee Barber back, obviously. You know how we all feel about her. But for me, I got my eyes on Kelvin Gastelum. And I hate to focus solely on the pay-per-view when you ask me this question, but Kenny Florian said to me this week, we're going to know with Kelvin Gastelum if that championship hunger really remains, if he has what it takes to get back to where he was going into that Adesanya fight in 2019, a fight in which he was very competitive. So to me, Kelvin Gastelum is a huge story and storyline. Does he have what it takes, you know, to beat a 2-1 underdog in Ian Heinisch, who is hungry, who is primal, and is ready to take his ranking in the top 10? So we'll see, my man.
On the other side, when we spoke to you on Fight Island, you said Kamaru hadn't quite reached that part of his reign that he would be a massive betting favorite like the Habibs and everyone. Do you think a win over Gilbert Burns is enough to propel him into that upper echelon of betting favorites?
That's a good question. Maybe this will be the win that does it, but it's interesting to hear Dana Burns maybe not getting the respect. And ultimately, as you guys know, they're trying to draw two-way action. So I'm a little bit, I think it's properly priced, if I'm being honest. You know, like I think minus 270, I think Kamaru Usman deserves that distinction. Is he going to get into Shevchenko territory? I think it's harder in the men's game to think that he would ever get there. But I can understand why people, if it drops to minus 240, would see tremendous value on Kamaru Usman, right? We talk about Maycee Barber, right? Minus 850 in her last fight against Roxanne Modafferi. So say what you want about Alexa Grasso, but Maycee Barber's plus 125. You're getting her a plus money when you had to mortgage the farm to get her last time. So we'll see. But I think Kamaru deserves respect that he gets.
How'd you make out on Sunday?
Biggest hit of my career, you know, as a sports gambler dating to 1996. I was sort of progressively betting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all season long. I think the best price I got was 14-1, but went to that plush new Circus Sportsbook last night, and the money is over at the Courtyard by Marriott. If anybody wants to break into my room, it's there right now.
John Anik over here. John, obviously you're one of the premier play-by-play guys in the sports game, particularly mixed martial arts. How do you keep going back to, what do you work on to keep getting better year in, year out, this far in the game in your career?
So I think the hardest thing for any of us is to listen back to your work and watch your work. And it's very much an inconvenient truth of the business, because even though I've been doing this a long time, and I think maybe my work is less cringeworthy now than it was in 2011 when I started, or where I was doing Bellator 1 in 2009, it's still hard to listen to yourself. And we've never had a perfect show. There's always room for improvement. You know, I've worked a lot on being more concise, and especially in a 3-man booth, that's something that I need to be. And also just to allow the action, especially in a COVID-19 climate, to kind of speak for itself. Sometimes we don't even have to go to the corner to actually hear what a coach is saying. So that's been a particular area of focus for me. But my system, I don't think, is broken. So in terms of the preparation, I'm really trying to keep things the same way. And even today, we're dealing with a variable where it looks like maybe Bobby Green might not be able to compete. You know, that has a trickle-down effect for the live production team and the scripts and everything else. So never a dull moment in the fight week and in the fight game, and not a fight week goes by where we're not dealing with some form of challenge. But just trying to stay sharp and watch myself back as best I can.
We know Dana White is infamous for he has his phone next to him during the whole production. Can you remember the first time that phone rang and he had notes for you?
So when Joe Silva was still here, I know at times Dana would maybe send a text message to Joe Silva and say, dude, Anik better clean this up, or this is going to be the last show he ever works, you know? So, but I think it's tough love, and I think it's a motivating thing for me. Like, I don't know that I want bosses like Craig Borsari is my direct boss. I don't know that I want bosses who are massaging me all the time and telling me how great I am. I think it's motivating, the tough love. But it's been an evolution, right? I mean, I started in 2011, and I certainly feel like I'm in a better place now than I was back then. But as I said, man, we've never had a perfect show. And ultimately, in a lot of respects, I turned in the journalist card to become a promoter. So ultimately, I'm out there to execute the vision of the promotion. And when I don't do that to the best of my ability, or I don't do that the way they would like me to, I'm going to hear about it. And my skin is getting thicker by the day, thankfully.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, man. Good. Thank you, guys.
Oh my gosh, we need a microphone for this. Hi.
Well, Megan, all week long as we've been doing our interviews, we've been trying to figure out who got the better of who in the training room in the main event. And, you know, they're both being a little guarded, or they kind of frame it up. So in your experience with them, have you figured out who was getting the better of who?
You know, it's a good question, but I also think how much does it really matter? You know, I think that there are times where you guys all go to different gyms and you'll see sometimes people who haven't even had a pro fight yet putting it on somebody who's ranked in the UFC. And I think, you know, yes, there's a lot we can take away from that, especially certain tricks that each one may have, but I don't think it necessarily matters. And it's been a long time since they have really trained together. So I think while it's fun to talk about, I don't know how much, you know, it necessarily comes into play once that cage door closes behind them.
I want to ask you about the co-main event as well. I think we're all trying to figure out the psychology of Maycee Barber, right? I mean, the first loss, and it was interesting when we talked to her, she talked about the injury more than she talked about the loss. You know what I mean? So what do you think? I mean, you had a chance to speak with her. Where do you think her head's at, and has she progressed from that?
I think she's in a really good place, actually. I just spoke with her backstage, and you're right. She did talk about the injury a lot, but I think, you know, with the difficulties of an injury like that also comes some positives, which is giving her body rest that she hasn't had in a very long time. She's been training since she was a little kid. So I think when you see somebody who has a long layoff, they start to feel better all around, because maybe you just learn to live with certain things. And maybe that's just a part of, you know, this always aches, but it's just how it is. Well, she's coming in here really, really actually refreshed and able to rehab, not just her knee, but her entire body. And I think having the time off maybe does make you a little bit hungrier. I think this is a great platform for her. We know she always performs when the spotlight is on her. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how she comes back against a very game opponent.
And obviously, everybody's focused on the title fight, the main event. But is there an under the radar, either a matchup or a storyline or something that you uncovered that you think people need to be paying attention to?
Yeah, well, I think actually all the early prelims are really interesting. Ricky Simone and Brian Kelleher, Miranda Maverick and Jillian Robertson. I really like that matchup. I think there's some great ones. Kelvin Gastelum and Ian Heinisch. The tide can turn either way in that matchup. There's a lot on the line there. So I think this card is actually very stacked. I think there's a lot of talent on there, and I'm looking forward to, really from that first fight on, I think there's going to be a lot of great action there.
I saw you tease on social media, UFC Connected, a new project. what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so there, UFC Connected is a new magazine show, which TBD on the date it airs. I guess somebody should have told me that, but I really don't know. But there will be an English, Spanish, and Portuguese version. I am your English host. And so, hopefully we'll be doing those around once a month, maybe even more often. But if you remember the Ultimate Insider, which John Anik hosted and then I hosted as well, it's very similar to that. So different features, well done features from all around the world of our athletes that maybe you don't get to see their journeys after they're in the octagon, or maybe somebody who's not necessarily a household name. It's being able to tell those different stories in a great, easy to digest way.
Last thing for me, the long form podcast. Is there still just been one episode, or what's the update on that?
Oh my gosh, thank you for asking, because it's sort of my passion project. There's been 2
first
episodes.
Episode was great.
Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, you can't ask for a better story than Ian Heinisch, right? We had an episode with Rose Namajunas, and then hopefully we will actually start recording. We have my list of interviews I want to do for that is a mile long. And I feel like they're probably so annoyed with me in the other building with how much I'm kind of asking for all these extra projects. But it's something I found that fighters really resonated with, being able to tell their own stories in their own words. And yes, we know so much about them once they get into the octagon, but what makes a fighter? I can speak from experience that there's got to be something that makes you want to get into that octagon. And, to see my husband and his story and what makes him who he is. I would want people to know that whole story of Joseph. So to be able to give others the platform to know the whole story of, hey, this is how I grew up. These are the things I've overcame. And now I found success in the octagon. And to stop the story there, I think is really fun too, because it doesn't mean you have to be a mixed martial arts fan even to relate to these stories, to find something to hold on to from these stories. So hopefully those will start being released late February, early March, and then we'll continue with those, because it is something I truly love doing.
And I apologize for the last bit. What was the title of it? I forgot. Is it just on the UFC Unfiltered feed?
Yeah, it's called Becoming a Fighter, and hopefully we're actually going to expand into somewhat of an audio network. There's actually a great series, I'm not sure if you got to listen to it, hosted by Forrest Griffin, about training camps. And so that you can also find on the Unfiltered feed, but hopefully you'll start seeing a bigger audio network in terms of podcasts that the UFC produces, and we'll kind of each have our own little branch.
Hey, Megan, back here.
Hi.
Looking beautiful. Congratulations on all your continued success. Thanks. And on the note of podcasts, I do know that you launched your very own podcast, At Home with Ben Olivy with Joe. Can you kind of, give your fans a bit more of an insight on it and what they can expect every week when they tune in?
Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah. Man, that was something that I was very bashful about doing. I'm not necessarily one that wanted to. You guys see that we've opened our home a lot to different documentaries and projects within the UFC, but to do something like that, where we're just talking about the Britney Spears documentary or whatever it may be, it's daunting for us. We're kind of bashful in that regard. So it's been nice, and it's really been nice for Joe to have a platform like that, to see him outside of just being a fighter and kind of expand and how much he loves movies and music and art and stuff like that. So yeah, every week you'll hear from us. The reception's been great, and which is nice, but I'm still not totally comfortable with the idea, but hopefully I will be as we go along.
Megan over here. Megan, watching the broadcast, a lot of people want to know, how do you pull off the disappearing act when you're doing the hit during the walkout? Can you how that shot and just what you're doing that we don't see off camera when you disappear?
Yeah, that's a good question. We work with the most talented production team in sports. I swear, the things that we are able to do, the creativity. And so those shots are something we do rehearse. I come in much earlier before everybody else. And so we'll spend time, and that's something we have to nail. So in rehearsal, whatever I say for however long we go, that's what we plan on. So we release fighters for their walk based on how long I took during those rehearsals. So I have to be exactly how I was in that practice run. And so what you'll see is I'll walk forward. The camera will pass me. Someone actually opens the stanchion, and then I exit. The fighter walks by. So hopefully no one ever runs during that time, because it would not work out if they did.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good. Thanks, guys.
What's up, guys? Let's do this.
DC, you
Yes.
know the storyline, right? The former training partner angle.
Yep.
You know who's got the edge. Can you help us, as somebody that's been in the room? Like, how much does that really matter? Like how practice went?
It plays a part. I mean, it does play a part. If I'm being honest, here's the deal. Generally, the challenger or the guy that isn't holding the belt doesn't call for it unless he saw something that makes him believe that he has a shot, right? So when I say something like someone knows who won those goals, one of those guys know. And I think Usman separating himself from the training camp, distancing himself from those sessions, allowed for him to refresh his mind and forget about what happened if Gilbert got the best of him, or allows him to refresh and say, you know what, I was getting the best of Gilbert before. I need to maintain that over him. But one of those guys know who won those sparring sessions.
So where does the edge lie? Is it strictly like psychological and mental, or is it tactical? Because like, hey, I know exactly what he does in this position. I know how, what his go-to is.
I think it's more of trying to get him to a position where you might have had more success. So if there's a position on the ground that Gilbert Burns had a lot of success in, he'll force that, try to get it back there. If Usman did a great job of taking him down with certain takedowns, he will attack that takedown first. Those are where the advantages will lie come Saturday night when they fight. Where and how good are you at getting to that position that will remind the guy, oh, I struggled with this before, to try to play a mental part on him.
And Usman is nearing these like record-breaking levels, right? I mean, do you get the feel that he's underappreciated as a champion?
I think Kamaru Usman is fantastic. And I think that the way that he is perceived in the world of mixed martial arts, and not only mixed martial arts, but in sports, is a bit of a disservice, because the guy has not lost a fight since he's gotten here. He is a dominant champion, a guy that has shown on so many occasions that he can go and fight with anybody. I think that the fight with Colby Covington showed a different level of who Kamaru Usman is too, because that was difficult. He couldn't take him down. He fought where he was uncomfortable for 23 minutes and finished a very tough Colby Covington. Kamaru Usman is underappreciated, if that's even a thing, when you've won and defended the belt in the fashion that he has to this point.
Yeah. As dominant as he has been, I am curious. So this is why I'm so intrigued by this fight. Is Burns like the perfect stylistic matchup to potentially beat him?
And that's why I think this is so amazing to everyone. Anyone in the know, anyone that has any knowledge of fighting understands that this is the toughest fight for Kamaru Usman. Not only because of the shared time in the gym, but also because of the way Gilbert Burns fights. I mean, the guy's fast. He has unbelievable knockout power, second to none jiu-jitsu, and just a confidence about him right now. It's going to be very difficult for anyone to figure out. Stylistically, mentally, physically, Gilbert Burns matches up as well as anyone in the welterweight division, and this is the absolute best fight that the UFC can make at 170 pounds.
Yeah, I agree. This has been all about the main event, but is there a fight or a fighter that caught your eye this week, or that you're just most excited to watch?
There are some tough fighters on this card. Up and down the card, people are trying to really raise their stock and go to the next level. I think you look in the co-main event, that's a fantastic fight. Maycee's been away for a while, and she's fighting Alex Grasso, who looked fantastic since going to 125. Then honestly, I think that Miranda Maverick is, after her debut performance out on Fight Island, has a very tough fight in front of her with Jillian, and it's going to test and show whether or not this young lady is ready to go to the next level. And it's up and down the card. I hear they're yelling in the back their names. Like, I can't list everybody. I don't even know. But a lot of great fighters, a lot of great fights, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Last thing for me, have you yet, or are you planning on pulling Dana aside and telling him to leave your boy Habib alone? Let the man retire and enjoy himself.
You know what, man? I think you continue to, as a promoter, you have to do that, right? We have to understand that as a promoter, you have to get one of the biggest stars in your organization to try to fight, right? So if there is an inkling of a chance, you continue to press down that path. And that's what Dana's doing. One thing I do know, if Habib has his mind set on something, it ain't going to change.
I was gonna say, do you think there's an inkling of a chance? Because Dana said he's like, hey, he's taking the meeting, right? He's going to dinner, right?
Well, he's constantly going in there, right? So obviously, if he's meeting with him, if he's talking to him, you don't know, right? Because Habib's respectful. So if Dana White says, let's go to dinner, he will go. So you never know. I don't know what it is. I actually don't spend much time thinking about it at this point. I'm just going to see when it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll just continue to live our relationship as it is.
Daniel, over here to you. If we've seen it with John Jones and Rashad, now we're seeing it with Gilbert and Usman. Is it almost impossible for the champion not to feel a little bit disrespected from a teammate coming to get the belt?
Absolutely. I mean, I think anybody that would be a champ and has one of his former teammates saying, I want what you got is very disrespectful. And it does motivate you to a degree. And I think we saw that with Usman, right? He said something about having the ability to send his daughter to school where he wants to send her. And Gilbert decided he wanted to take that from him. So I think in that sentence, he let you guys know how he's feeling exactly. And that's a little bit disappointing.
You've said a couple of times that they know who got the better of them in this fight. So for the guy who knows he didn't get the better, what do you do mentally to overcome that?
I'll tell you one thing, man, knowing that, see, here's the difference, right? Here's the difference for me. Because I knew what would happen in the training when I would fight Cain Velasquez, I never challenged him for the title. You understand? Because I didn't know what I could change in order to beat him. So whoever didn't win, it must be close enough to where they feel they could make the necessary changes in order to change the outcome of what was happening in the gym.
Just to get your reaction on a couple of things Dana said. They're looking at Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington now.
Yep, that's great.
You're just interested in your thoughts on that fight and how you would see that one going.
That's an absolutely great fight. That's going to test Leon in the areas that he struggled with Usman. The last time he lost was to Kamaru. And Kamaru took him down a lot of times, right? Colby will try to take him down a lot of times. If he shows a mass improvement and can beat Colby Covington, then maybe you say, you know what? Him and Usman in a rematch, if Usman wins this weekend, makes sense now. Now we can justify that the result may change. It's a fantastic fight. I still wonder why not Masvidal? Those guys have a lot of history. Masvidal punched him and 2 strikers. But in terms of seeing if Leon Edwards has made the changes to challenge for a title, this is the matchup. From a fan's perspective, probably the matchup with the chicken reference.
What do you do with Masvidal now?
I don't know. I think, certain guys, like, they get to a certain point in their careers where they kind of pick and choose. Sometimes you end up as the odd man out. So right now, what happens? I mean, Nate Diaz wants to fight again. Maybe you go back down that path. There are options for Jorge Masvidal.
And then Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor. Looks like that's the one it's going to be. In your mind, how did you see the second one play out, and what do you think could happen in the third one that's different or even the same?
Well, Conor had success in round 1 of the second fight, right? But Dustin started to really find his timing and found a real weakness in Conor's game. 4 months, 5 months, I don't know when they're going to fight again, but that is a lot of improvement you need to make in a certain area in terms of McGregor in order to counter those kicks. That's a quick time and a quick turnaround to try to change it. So dude's got some work to do, but he's got a great camp behind him. And but man, Dustin Poirier is a dog. He said it. He said, I don't love doing this no more, but I'm an absolute dog. And he'll be ready to fight again.
Last one for me. John asked if you're going to ask Dana to leave Khabib alone. Are you going to ask him to leave Ariel alone?
Oh, no, that's not my business. I tell those guys all the time, that's between you. Listen, Ariel's my guy, right? We don't all have to have the same friends, but he's my guy, and I enjoy doing my show with him and everything.
So they've never asked you to play Peacemaker, DC? Ever?
Who? Between those
Ariel.
guys? No. I told them I don't want to deal with that. I don't deal with any of that. Listen, man, those guys had a great relationship in the past, so something must have happened to change it, but that's on them. All I can take care of is my relationship with the guy.
I listen to you every Monday. What's more annoying, the promo code never being DC or the fact that he has a new holiday every week?
Well, the holiday thing is, the holiday bit's pretty funny. I like it. Now, granted, listen to this. The holiday bit has now become a thing because on SportsCenter now they're doing holidays. I'm like, you guys stole our deal? Like, so they're stealing our deal on SportsCenter. So it's fun. It's a fun show. I enjoy it. I enjoy being able to do all the stuff that I love so much. So it's good.
Real quick, what's more likely to happen? Ariel talks to Khabib again or Ariel talks to Dana again?
I think when you look back on Dana and Ariel's relationship, that would probably be the one that would come together because they had a good relationship in the past. But again, I can't really speak to those guys' relationship. That's on them. I can only maintain my relationship with the boss and then my relationship with Ariel and opposed from each other. And those, for me, are good.
Thank you.
No problem.
Over here, other side. One more.
Okay, one more. Okay.
Yeah, last one. What's going through your head when you see 43-year-old Tom Brady win his 7th ring?
Absolutely nothing. How much I'm enjoying retirement.